your organized sound of Zamar. And here they come with you funk.
Yo, Cap, let me get some of that.
Good vibes in the area. Well, man a fighter from the start. I mean, no carry grudge in the heart. Hatred make you turn for your people. Wise up, Ave Phoenix, my DJ. Turn up the lights from the start. Ring tune, pull it up, celebrate us. We no carry grudge in the heart. We no carry grudge in the heart. Everybody feel right, right. Good vibes in the place all night. Cause we don't carry grudge for people. We don't have time for your study, no evil. Don't make them catch you with the bad energy. Smiling on your face, but me I tell them my enemy. How many times you try to cure them? I fi cut them out, that are the only remedy. Everybody go through things. We not perfect, so we don't do the blame game thing. Know this trial's gonna come one day. I fi endure, adapt me and sing. Any function must clean, then step out, peel out, jump in a car, tire screech out, GPS it up, put in the route, dream team touch the scene, everybody scream out. Wait up, turn up the lights from the start, ring tune, pull it up, celebrate cause we no carry grudge in the heart, we no carry grudge in the heart. DJ, turn up the lights from the start, ring tune, pull it up, celebrate cause we no carry grudge in the heart. Carry grudge in the heart.
Energy them not real, them I feel.
But the grass low, so we get to see this near them.
Pass the cutlass, give me the ring.
And a long time I don't tell us that the whole of them are fake.
Them can't hold me down, cause it's a party night. Good vibes in the air, tonight me feeling right.
But I'm not hypocrite, but I'm not parasite. Them not show them themselves for day, but them come out tonight.
Them a vampire, I run from the light.
Them just remember every day, them spirit no right.
Them a combine evil, too much idle time.
And whatsoever in a dark coffee come in a light.
Turn up the lights from the start. Ring tune, pull it up, celebrate cause we no carry grudge in the arm. We no carry grudge in the arm. DJ, turn up the lights from the start. Ring tune, pull it up, celebrate cause we no carry grudge in the arm. We no carry grudge in the arm.
No, them no really smiling at me face, me realize. Just give me the strength, me see them by me spiritualize. Still I enduring at this trouble when the pressure rise. Man, I be also lean at the giddy and be stay alive. No sweat and tears, endure self-sacrifice. Still not give up, cause my mind rest on a price. Just give me strength for overcome my enemies. Them full of hatred, them full of jealousy. Man, close to the thing, we no fake, we no counterfeit. I know for them, boy, them, you know them full of shit. Be perfect, Israel never quit. Have to be purged in the fire, so me tell you this. Man, close to the thing, we no fake, we no counterfeit. I know for them, boy, them, you know them full of shit. Be perfect, Israel never quit. Have to be purged in the fire, so me tell you this.
Turn up the lights from the start. Ring tune, pull it up, celebrate cause we no carry grudge in the arm. We no carry grudge in the arm. DJ, turn up the lights from the start. Ring tune, pull it up, celebrate cause we no carry grudge in the arm. We no carry grudge in the arm. Back to the earth. He said you wake up the people and tell them come out of the church. He ready for war, soon as they wanna get out of the dirt. Shout out, Tuesday. Shout out, Tuesday.
Got the juice, I ain't talking no bootleg, cause we walk in the light of a new day. I can't listen to nothing a fool say. Thank the Lord that he showed us a new way.
Shout out, Tuesday. Shout out.
Talking no bootleg, cause we walk in the light of a new day. I can't listen to nothing a fool say. Thank the Lord that he showed us a new way.
Shout out the 12 tribes. Bishop Nathaniel, he building a nation and leading us worldwide. With the Jews on the mile high, keeping lost on the west side. I'm a daughter, say I'm strong, the Lord and the power of his life. That's right. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, wash my tired shoes. I'm building up my wisdom, I ain't got no time for fools. Our leadership is about their father's business, nothing fake. They casting down them false prophets, shout out TD Snake. Women in pants, rolling over your man. Effeminate men, checking your biz, living in sin. Come out the churches, saints and sinners, you ain't saved by grace. You must repent and keep the law to live the righteous way. Shout out Tuesday is a revolutionary move. So take notes and pay attention like you would in school. Don't get caught up trying to be dipped in that water. When Christ return, he gon' baptize you in fire.
He put in the work. Bishop Nathaniel, yeah, prophesy back to the earth. He said you wake up the people and tell them come out of the church.
They know,
ready for war, soon as
they
they wanna get out of the dirt.
no matter what they do. Shout out, Tuesday. Shout out, Tuesday.
Got the juice, I ain't talking no bootleg, cause we walk in the light of a new day. I can't listen to nothing a fool say. Thank the Lord that he showed us a new way.
Shout out, Tuesday. Shout out, Tuesday.
Got the juice, I ain't talking no bootleg, cause we walk in the light of a new day. I can't listen to nothing a fool say. Thank the Lord that he showed us a new
Bishop
way.
been bringing out this truth for more than 20 years. A lot of y'all can't count no bell, but you just got here. The prophets are back on the earth, waking up the 12 tribes. Your pastor led you astray with all them wicked lies. Our people high on the strongest drug in the world called Christianity, but they don't know that he looks like you and me. His hair is woolly and his skin is black with red eyes. The other nations lie to you, told you cried.
Bishop be using the scriptures to teach us the truth. We breaking the chains and raising the youth. The prophets are coming and bringing the heat. Demolishing doctrines and hitting the streets. We taking over airwaves, put a brand new class out every day. People sitting in letters say thank you. They appreciate everything you do. IUIC is putting Christ on the map. Teach a man how to take the household back. Young women learn to be modest. Might get cut cause he's so honest.
And when we started to wake up, they rocked us back to sleep with all these vain philosophies lying to the sheep.
He put in the work. Bishop Nathaniel, yeah, he a prophet sent back to the earth, back to the earth. He sent you to wake up the people and tell them, come out of the church, come out of the church. He ready for war, soon as they run to get out of the dirt, out of the dirt. Shout out what, shout out what, shout out what, Tuesday. Shout out what, shout out what, shout out what, Tuesday.
Got the juice, I ain't talking no bootleg, cause we walk in the light of a new day. I can't listen to nothing a fool say, thank the Lord that he showed us a new way.
Shout out what, shout out what, shout out what, Tuesday. Shout out what, shout out what, shout out what, Tuesday.
Got the juice, I ain't talking no bootleg, cause we walk in the light of a new day. I can't listen to nothing a fool say, thank the Lord that he showed us a new way.
It's shout out Tuesday for real. We do not care how you feel. Get that scripture, make it plain. Show the people how to live. I'm real Juno, I don't think you are. I'm Chuck Judah and no touch. In the book I meditate, don't trim my ways up for no friend. Open up that book, cut him with that sword. Yeah, it's a Judah thing. You should all take notes. Yeah, been here 30 years. We are little ones. Yeah, you do not compare. We don't heed to noise. Been did that all over your city and country. Know that my Jews step and the wicked telling us nothing. I'm a servant of the Lord, so your words are not enough. Many sinners miss the mark, so don't expect it to take off. Stepping in like this, say it low soft tone, banging on Esau until they stand no more. We fell down because of sin and wickedness up in our cities, but we know he on the way, so I stay patient. I ain't tripping.
He's a B-I-S-H-O-P, fruit shown consistently. Should I Tuesday like it's kin to me? Should our friends and a friend of me? High haters, bar haters, take that to your leaders. Even though they got multitudes, them niggas still cannot lead us. His life, more wisdom he get, the more length to his beard. Traveling the world, teaching the 12 tribes through the fear. His wisdom like fire, so when you hear them scriptures, it's seared. They say the kingdom on the way, but bro, it's already here.
He put in the work. Bishop Nathaniel, yeah, he a prophet sent back to the earth, back to the earth. He sent you to wake up the people and tell them, come out of the church, come out of the church. He ready for war, soon as they run to get out of the dirt, out of the dirt. Shout out what, shout out what, shout out what, Tuesday. Shout out what, shout out what, shout out what, Tuesday.
Got the juice, I ain't talking no bootleg, cause we walk in the light of a new day. I can't listen to nothing a fool say, thank the Lord that he showed us a new way.
Shout out what, shout out what, shout out what, Tuesday. Shout out what, shout out what, shout out what, Tuesday.
Got the juice, I ain't talking no bootleg, cause we walk in the light of a new day. I can't listen to nothing a fool say, thank the Lord that he showed us a new way.
James 1:1. To the 12 tribes which are scattered abroad, greeting. See, you don't want this. You Christians don't want this. You don't want the Bible. You can't. Y'all don't want the Bible. So move out the way and let the men of the Lord do this work.
They don't break them out of used to. Old school riding in the new school. New school riding in the old school, But I'm playing with it. They don't make us how they used to. Old school blind to the new school. New school rocking with the wheel, look out. Seat back, chucking deuce. No, we don't get down how they used to, Why they gotta get in my lane, Straight is the way to the gate, straight is the way to the gate, M.I.A. Why they gotta get in my lane, Straight is the way to the gate, straight is the way to the gate, M.I.A.
I'm gone, can't stick around for too long. I'm moving on.
M.I.A.
I've been missing in action. I may
M.I.A.
trying my best.
instructions, press 2.
Your show is scheduled to start in 32 seconds.
Way up to the fine in the gardens. You shouldn't do that. There's a tree in the midst, 2/3 looking at it like, what we about to eat at? Serpent on the branch, I don't see that. They're like, nah, where you see that? They're like, hey, you should join us. Everybody about to be there. Many called, only few chosen. I can stick around, gotta get going. I got other plans, but the same.
Your show will go live in 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1.
Power hour is the what? Power hour is the who? Power hour, yeah. Blacks, Hispanics, and natives. Power hour is the what? Power hour is the who? Power hour, yeah. Blacks, Hispanics, and
every Saturday morning you need to be tuning in. Wake up, get crust out your eyes. We about to go live, so come get the schooling in. About our oppression, we answer the questions like how do we get out this lower state? We let the scripts prophesy. We bringing the Bible to life so that you relate. The world thinks we're rejects, but that word we reject. Watch and we'll show you. Precept upon precept, line upon line, the scripts say we're the greatest, and they can't debate it. Salvation is only for the blacks, Hispanics, and natives.
Power hour is the what? Power hour is the who? Power hour, yeah. Blacks, Hispanics, and natives. Power hour is the what? Power hour is the who? Power hour, yeah. Blacks, Hispanics, and natives. Power hour is the what? Power hour is the who? Power hour, yeah. Blacks, Hispanics, and natives. Power hour is the what? Power hour is the who? Power hour, yeah. Blacks, Hispanics, and
Shalom, shalom. Welcome to the Power Hour Plus edition. I am Captain Yashua.
Good evening, Captain Apario.
Shalom, Most High in Christ bless. Captain Amariah.
Officer Solomon. Shalom, Most High in Christ bless.
Also known as Officer Shlomo. Shlomo. Shlama.
He said Shlama.
Also known as Mr. Von.
Oh.
I'm not going to do it. Damn, man, I wasn't going to do it, bro.
I never heard that before. That was funny.
I would have never guessed, bro, because like the way you laugh is like...
Yo, he's just, it's just his mannerisms. That's just the way he is. That's what makes him so funny, like to chill with. Like when we went in New Mexico, he was like a trip because like his whole demeanor and everything.
Hey, so he found it real hysterical, what I told him, which I'm not going to say any ass. He went...
and that was hysterical to him.
Dude, that was it. I was like... Is he like... freaking like
he's like the Northern Kingdom Captain Isaac, right? Because Captain Isaac is like the same way.
He is.
He'll laugh and you're like, wait, is he laughing or is that funny? He's like,
and meanwhile he's cracking up. Yeah. Like
he's dying.
Captain Isaac's dying with his non-laughter.
He's like, wait, let me stop.
Hey, some people are like that. They got that dry kind of. That'll be your shtick if you ever to do. What is that? Is this, bro? Goodness.
That's a 1939.
Hey, this is a you want to talk about hitting somebody with the Bible? Mm-hmm. Goodness gracious!
Yeah,
oh my
God!
He's like, that's the Bible written in every language known to man.
This doesn't have an apocrypha, but the dictionary.
Hey, that don't have an apocrypha.
No apocrypha.
I was gonna say, man, because it has the apocrypha.
Yeah, right.
He said it doesn't have the apocrypha, no maps, no concordance.
It's only the New Testament.
It's only Psalms, Proverbs, and the New Testament.
Oh my gosh!
Precepts for days.
Wait.
The hell is this?
Oh man. Dan, that was like a brisket. You dropped that like a brisket.
Bro, I'm surprised your forearms ain't bigger from holding that in camp. Oh my gosh. Goodness gracious.
He said, what is that?
Yo, my eyes went over there real quick. I said, what the hell?
I didn't know you were playing. Like,
it says only book.
The only book. So explain to us the verses. What's the deal with what verses you got there that you thought was good enough to write on the outside? Explain
to us. This was pre-truth, when I was in Christianity.
I got Ecclesiastes 12:13.
Okay.
Solomon, real quick.
Okay.
Solomon.
That's it. That's all you need, bro.
Solomon.
Oh, he's calling
Speaking
you.
to the mic a little more.
I
we
got
can't hear you.
Ecclesiastes 12:13. I got Psalms 111 verse 10.
Good. Those are good ones. Okay.
Wisdom of Solomon 1:1.
Yo, you on fire, bro.
Go ahead.
He thought that was good. Hold on. I got 3 left.
He said, wait, there's
He
more.
said, I rewrote the first 5 books 6 times. That's why it's so big.
What else? What else?
Deuteronomy 28:1.
Okay.
Okay, perfect. Damn, you on fire, bro. Those are good.
Deuteronomy 30:10 through 14.
Okay.
30, 10 to 14. Okay.
And then the whole Psalm 101. It's about 8 verses long, but it's.
Bring it out!
Yep.
Hey, man, that's pretty good, bro. Those are good. Those are good. So now we know if we want to get you, like, your favorite scriptures on a T-shirt, any one of those will do.
Any bigger than that, man, you're going to have a problem. You're going to get a hernia, bro.
He said it
real.
He said it like it was a good thing. Like, you know,
Bible
it
on
doesn't
the
have the
t-shirt.
Apocrypha, but it's like 30 languages.
Hey, look, mine don't have the Apocrypha either. Even with the Apocrypha. You still got me.
Man. Jeez. Goodness gracious. Hey, glad this your first time on the Plus?
That's before Genesis. This is
Okay, we got
Okay,
you.
all right, we're done. We're done with the Bible. We're done with the Bible.
On
We're
the
done.
Plus, yeah.
This is your first time on the Plus?
I believe so, yeah.
Oh, all right. Well, welcome to the Plus. Welcome to the Plus.
He was busy rewriting the Bible.
He's been busy all this
Came out
time.
of the cave.
He's been busy all this time.
Freaking book of Shlomo.
My goodness. Hey,
got the braids back.
He did.
He came back like
Oh, it's that time. All right.
What's the guy? Did I say you've become? Trejo. He came back. He came back from Danny Trejo.
Oh, that's right, Danny Trejo. Yeah, he was eating locust and honey.
Hold on.
Out there.
Got to stay hydrated.
Yes, we have to stay hydrated. We have to stay hydrated.
It is that time of year here in Phoenix.
He didn't trim.
Hey, so oh, is he gonna put it up? No, that's terrible. Don't do that to him. Don't do that. Don't do it to him. Don't do it to him.
Yo, that's him, man.
Orale.
That's it. That's him.
You know what? If he didn't have the braids in, I would say do it. Like if the hair was just out, like that one right there. With the
just
hair
put
out.
Danny.
Yeah, he looks like the guy all the way in the right.
Put Danny Trejo in cornrows.
Did he ever wear cornrows?
Put Danny DeVito in cornrows.
Danny Trejo. Cornrows. I don't think he has it. Somebody probably got some cornrows. Cornrows.
No, he had long hair though with the ponytail. Like, that's what I'm saying. He came back from where he was
No, the
at.
closest one is that one with the white tee. That'll be kind of that looks like this brother right here. Don't put it up though. I'm kidding. Don't do it.
Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it.
Oh, he put it up. It's delayed, so I'm seeing it up on the screen. I'm telling him don't put it up all this time. It's up there. Oh, he took it down right away.
He's gonna do the split screen on Telegram later.
Hey, welcome to the Plus.
Welcome to the Plus. That's how we get it on the Plus edition. That's how we get it on the Plus edition. So, Shalom, Israel, Shalom. We are back. We had a broadcast show last week. Still good. You know, like I've mentioned before, believe it or not, we've actually been on the air. Is it 3? Or it's 3, like 3 years, right?
It'll be 4 years in June.
It'll be 4 years in June.
Yeah.
So, but as the Plus edition, that started October last year. That started October last year. So, we've been on. So we have like a whole bunch of episodes, different topics, which we might bring some back. Like I was thinking today, I wasn't. I mean, I have topics. I just wasn't sure what I was gonna go over. And I said, wait a second. As I'm driving down the road, I'm seeing all these signs for Cinco de Mayo specials. I'm seeing people lining up for the restaurants and everything. And it's not Israelites, it's not Mexicans lining up, of course, to the restaurants. And I'm seeing all this and I'm like, man, I said, you know what? I said, let's talk about Cinco de Mayo, because how many people really know what Cinco de Mayo is? So I'm going to ask you. I'm going to put some of you on the spot, all right? And you last, because probably has it in there. Do you know what Cinco de Mayo is really about? What is it about?
It was 60 years after their independence when they fought in some war versus.
All right. Is that because the links I put, or you knew about that?
No, I already knew about that.
Okay.
It's when they defeated the French.
Right.
Yeah, there you go. The French.
But most people, because I think I saw some people in the comment board, and you know, that's America for you. Goes to show you are American. It's not to knock anybody, right? Because America's just woeful at being in a bubble.
Isn't Mexico Independence in like September?
Yes, September 16th.
It's not Mexican Independence Day.
And that was the independence
That's
from
my
Spain.
point. Right.
Yeah, September 16th.
Right. And that's my point. It's not Mexican Independence Day, right? And that was actually years before the events of Cinco de Mayo, like 40 years before when they got independence from Spain.
Yeah, it's 52.
So, wow, look at him. See?
Well, I
got
said
that in the Encyclopedia
I
Britannica.
said like 60. So.
Yeah, so he was close.
Did you get that from here? He said,
Hey, everything from
52
from the
years.
beginning of the world to the present is in that thing, bro.
Everything. When it says that that the world can contain all the books, if they wrote everything about Christ, it's in here.
It's in
It's in there. There it is. It's all the hidden books.
Right. So most people think, right, and at one time I did ignorantly, right, because I just thought it was about Mexican independence.
You know what I thought it was? When Mexicans fight, that's like boxing. That's the day that they fight, bro.
Lucha Libre.
We just called it.
Which, by the way, Canelo's fighting Saturday.
We just called it Cinco de Cinco and just.
Okay, and that's good, right? Because when we talk about it later, that's really what it is here in America. It's a day of debauchery.
That's exactly what it
and
is.
specials on unauthentic or inauthentic Mexican food.
And
Because it's-
margaritas.
Because it's not even like,
Well-
Chili's going to bring you there for heaters, and
Well,
that's not even...
First off, Issachar don't need any reason to just throw a fiesta or a party anyways. Right,
Right, they're just
So-
going to roll. They're just going to roll.
You know what I'm saying? Hey, it's
Right.
Tuesday. Let's invite the entire neighborhood and.
It's the Brown St. Patrick's.
Right.
They go, hey, I got some tecate. Let's party. It don't matter. but it's Monday evening at midnight, so.
Just a little tequilito. I don't want no problem.
Bro, it's funny, right? Because I went to see our brother's home that he's building out here. And, the guys were leaving. They were just getting off their shift. And as, we're checking it out for him, like, because, he's in another state. And we're checking it out for him. And I see the little Coronita bottles all along the stair. And I'm like, so it's like, but that's like water to them. Like, they don't even, like, get drunk.
That's
like
why
this.
they drank it. That was
But
purified water.
But for a moment, I was like, man, he should check the structural integrity of this place.
Yeah.
I said they're
for
drinking Coronas while they're building his house.
You're going to find Coronas in between the wall and sheetrock.
Yeah, that's my background, the home building industry. And
Yeah.
and that's
Yeah,
what,
I know.
That's what my uncle and everybody would do. In the walls, before they put the cap on, they put all their beer bottles and
Yeah. Yep.
everything goes in.
Oh, so you're saying I got some beer bottles in my house
probably
right now?
probably in the pool
The hell
of
is
the rock
this?
area. Before they put the finish on.
Oh, man.
Oh, wow. So, look, the sister says, funny, my friend who thought she was Levi, but her dad is Simeon, just sent me pics of Cinco de Mayo dinner spread. I've never celebrated that even in the world. So, let's talk about this for a second. So, right, so first there's the misconception of what it is, right? Like, nobody really understands what it's about. And guess what? This is IUIC. This is the Power Hour Plus. So we are going to educate you on what Cinco de Mayo is really about. And we're going to use Cinco de Mayo as an example to reveal the false prophets and the doctrines of devils that this wicked, who's inherited the earth in this time, pushes out. So it'll be no surprise, right? So we're going to start with Cinco de Mayo, and then we're going to shift to some things that's called literally a doctrine, the Monroe Doctrine. We're going to talk about that a little bit, and we'll see where it goes.
We'll see where the Spirit leads us.
We'll see where the show goes. So it's interesting because, as we'll read when we start reading about it, it's actually celebrated more here in the United States by non-Mexicans, right, than it is in Mexico at all. So let me ask you a question: When you were in the world, Shlomo, did you? I see him doing research. When you were in the world, Shlomo, did you celebrate Cinco de Mayo?
I can't say that I ever celebrated Cinco de Mayo.
Wow, right. And this is Danny Trejo,
But
original.
But if my neighbors were doing something around there,
Yeah.
you know.
Well, that falls under what he said. Like
right.
It's a car. Anytime they don't need an excuse to let's get it in. Like it's like, hey, you're walking down the block. Oh, Pedro's barbecuing.
right.
Hey, I'm gonna bring some cervezas. Let's go.
That's right.
Let's get it in.
You didn't even know what day it was.
Right. He said, I didn't even know it was Cinco de Mayo. So as we're gonna bring out the research, you're gonna see. And here's the thing. Here's the interesting thing that I thought was. I mean, there's so much offense behind it. Like I said, we'll dissect it and we'll talk about it. what it represents is victory over their oppressors, right? The Spanish, right? In a battle, which they eventually lost the war. I'm sorry, with the French. I'm sorry, which they eventually lost the war to later, and it was a celebration of they were able to hold off the French and maintain their liberty. And I said to myself, I said, boy, how twisted is this that it's allowed to be this commercialized holiday, right? Which to me is very offensive. And imagine, right? Because so when the Jews were liberated from Hitler, they have a day called Holocaust Remembrance Day. And it's to commemorate their liberation from Hitler. And y'all folks listening at home or wherever you're at, you know I got to be very careful with my speech when we speak about Amalek. Because, you know, I mean, not that we care, but we want to stay on the air, right? So we got to be careful about that.
Bars.
So imagine if here in America, we went out on Holocaust Remembrance Day, and there were specials at every restaurant where we ate matzo balls and gefilte fish
and hummus,
and we had Morgan David on special, like different, you know, with salted rims and and instead of wearing sombreros, we wore yarmulkes and fake curls to try to look like we were Jewish.
The hell is this?
And celebrate that as our own holiday. That would not abide. That would not abide. To show you the hypocrisy and how only to the Israelites can something like this happen.
They will come up to you and be like, "You're Jewish. you make fun of my race."
Right.
You know how they talk.
Right. Hey, like when we were on the quest and we couldn't go back to the main dining room because the guy comes up and he tried to play it off, freaking the maitre d'.
That was crazy.
I got to tell this story again. It's been a while.
No, you got to tell the story.
Quest a few years back.
Because they're freaking bold.
What was it, like 3 years ago, 4 years ago? Quest like 3-4 years ago.
Yeah, they're freaking bold.
We were on the quest, and this was one where they had like a lot of Northern Kingdom stops, so we made sure that we were there. And first night at dinner, right? We're all there. We're
the first night?
We're enjoying it because, you know, if you've never been on a cruise, I got to tell you, it's nice. They kind of cater to you a little bit. It's nice. You get the formal dining room experience, unless you love Sizzler, right? And there's a lot of, you know, shout out to Captain Shemaiah and Captain Amaziah. All right,
no, don't tell me
they
this.
love the Windjammer versus the dining room.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, they love the Windjammer versus the dining room.
Yeah.
I like to have Edomites catering to me, because they kiss your behind on a cruise, right? They kiss your behind. Except this prick.
No, this guy was not going there.
So we're there with some of the with the deacons and the bishops that were there, and some of the more senior captains, and you know we're enjoying our dinner, right? You know the service is coming out. So as is custom on a cruise, right? The maitre d' will come over to each table the first night and greet everybody, right? And you know sometimes they'll talk about where they're from, but he did this very particular. And he says, because they saw us. We were all fringed out.
But remember, they remember us from the previous cruise.
Right. And they remembered us from previous cruises because this was like the fourth quest.
Same guy. He says, I remember you guys.
Right. So we come in, and he's doing his greeting, and he's like, hey, you know, my name is Jacob. Let's just say whatever, blah, blah, blah. And I am the only official Jew on this ship.
That's exactly how he started the conversation.
No way, bro.
He didn't say nothing else. But that is confirmed.
And man, like the whole table went silent. Like we were in our own conversation.
I was
we
buttering
were
my bread. I'm like,
right.
Butter went on my arm.
Right.
I said,
so he had the audacity to come to us at the table and tell us that, and we were all in a little shock, right? So he said his greetings and he walked away, and then we all looked at each other and we were like, did he just say what we think he said? And it was like, man, so we was like tight. So then Deacon Abiel got up and he said, hey, I'm going to go talk to this dude. So he went, hey, you know, what you're saying there? Basically, he had a conversation with him that it was offensive or whatever. So we all got up, all of us, because we had like whole swaths of the dining room. And we all got up and we walked out. And we never went back to the dining room the rest of the trip. Because, you know, you're supposed to customarily tip them because of the service that they give. So they didn't get jack from us.
Hey,
from that section.
That's pure solidarity because they had some good food. We ordered some good stuff.
Right. Hey, you know what? And it's good that you mentioned that because that I know not a one of us went back to the main dining room during that. Right?
Nope.
And mind you, I've been on cruises prior to the Quest, and I enjoyed that. To me, the main dining room experience every evening is part of the highlight of it.
Right.
Because you get to know your server and your waiter. They know you. They'll slip you little extra things. I went on one cruise. No matter what was on the menu, he always bought me a ribeye every night too, in addition to what else I ordered. And that, even if a ribeye wasn't on the menu, right? Buttering it up for the extra tip. So and that was another one I went, and he knew I loved the sourdough roll. So it's just little things that you get to enjoy. But solidarity, all of us said we're not going back,
and we were hungry.
So as a
right. So I had to eat Sizzler.
So as a nation,
because I know, listen, there's a lot of Israel that's been on the Quest, and they love the Windjammer, right? And the
Windjammer's not bad.
The Windjammer's good for a snack. It's the middle of the day. You just came back from off the island. You want a hot dog. You want a burger. There's some dishes that are all right. I don't love the Windjammer. I don't
not every day.
No.
And we did it every
not
day.
as a not after knowing what the formal dining room gives.
I mean, for the evening, we came out of pocket.
Well, we were on a ship that had extra, so we paid for some of the upgrade restaurants. But we were in solidarity in that, and we did not go back. And I remember going, and we were trying to make a complaint, and they were like, "Oh, he's been here 40 years, Jacob, with whatever, and so on." And like they couldn't believe what we were saying. So I was there when Deacon Abiel was like, trying to deal with the guy and stuff like that, and they offered us some BS. Everybody got like $25 room credits that was on our charter, or we were supposed to, but everybody got supposedly some room credits, and we were like, listen, we cruise with y'all every year, you know what I'm saying? And we bring a lot of people in. We need to kind of get something going. But anyway, I say that to say, Lord forbid, I'm gonna bring it back home. I'll let you say what you were gonna say, Shlomo. We bring it back home. Cinco de Mayo and what it represents, and what we're gonna learn tonight, and how it's celebrated here in America. It goes to show you the blatant disrespect. It's just another form of how we have no power. And listen, let's just pretend for a minute, because I know I have some people here that are going to be like, you have the younger and the truth overzealous. Well, Cinco de Mayo is not our holiday anyway. Listen, there's a large swath of our people that they don't know this stuff yet. So we're using this as a leverage point to try to show the hypocrisy of the heathen. You know how in Hosea it says gray hairs are on his head, and he know if it not, his strength is devoured. We need to bring about and show our people these little subtle ways in how our strength is devoured. So while as a believing Israelite, Cinco de Mayo don't mean a damn to not a one of us, it does mean something to some people. And that's where we got to reach out and try to bring that message, right? So our show is not just for the edification of those that are repenting, but it's also to reach out to those who aren't and bring certain aspects of stuff out. So I'm making the analogy, this is why we spoke about Jacob and the hypocrisy around it and how that stuff wouldn't stand with them. America wouldn't take Holocaust Remembrance Day or take any travesty where people gain some form of independence, and it's not an Israelite country, meaning they're not Israelites there, and they won't do something like that, because that's what it's akin to. It's taking something that was memorable to the Mexican people in fighting off some of their oppressors, and then making it a what did you say it was called on the drinking holiday?
Cinco de Drinko.
Cinco de Drinko.
Well,
Cinco de
well,
Drinko.
it's like a laughing stock, because the same pompous Edomites that will eat their tortillas and drink their horchatas today and enjoy this day as like you said, dressing up with the sombreros and the ponchos and the fake mustaches, will be the same ones tomorrow saying, go back to your country.
Right.
Or why can't you speak English here? This is America.
Yeah.
It's the same
The
people.
hell is this?
It's just all hypocrisy.
Right, and it goes to show you how they pervert, and the perversion of how they'll take holidays and make it something else, right? So, and this goes for any of their days, right? Like, it's not even in commemoration of what it's really about. Like, what does certain holidays have to do with this, that, and the other? So you got Mother's Day coming up too. That's another one, and I said, I wasn't gonna spend too much time on that, but just another one coming up on Sunday. And it goes to show you how they'll just take something, not understand the significance of it, and just say, hey, let's just make it our own in our own way and run with it. So you want to talk about cultural appropriation, to another extreme. What were you going to say, sir?
Crazy. I must be instant out of season, because I thought Mother's Day was last Sunday.
Well,
That's
it's
good.
different. It's different for most Northern Kingdom.
It's good you feel that way.
Like in America, it's Sunday. and then like in DR, I think I don't even know if it's this month or if it's at the end of the month.
A day later or something like that.
No, it's like at the end of the month or another month or something like that, and all the stuff that they push out.
The whole
there.
world's out of course. That's just like last Sunday was Greek Easter or something like that. It was like Orthodox Easter. It's just all BS, bro.
I knew somebody that used to celebrate that, and it was like Orthodox Easter is like a week after Catholic Easter,
like
and
that,
all types of stuff. No, but everybody wants to get on us because our Passover doesn't align with Amalek. Or our holy days don't align with Amalek. But it's okay to have an officially recognized Easter that's a week after what most Easter that people celebrate. But so much bullshit. I'm sorry, it's what it is. It's so much bullshit.
Earlier, I wanted to comment about the cruise, the story you're talking about, the cruise where everybody came together and just stood up and then never went back. It kind of reminds me of like when a Moabite on an airplane gets ostracized and then his whole country is going to boycott that airline.
Mm-hmm.
So it was an inkling of kind of what we should be doing on the regular,
Right. To be able to stand in solidarity against stuff like that. You're absolutely right about that. But, we usually don't. That's why boycotts and stuff don't work when our people do things or whatever. So, I mean, not anymore anyway. Like, it worked. It worked during, like, the civil rights era and stuff like that to a point. Right. I mean, if you look today, it didn't work. They just changed the game on how they approach things.
They just chose to walk 30 miles back and forth to work every day.
We didn't have the right banner, that's why.
There it is. Boom.
Hey, caller number is 516-531-9797. 516-531-9797.
Producers, are you guys monitoring the chat feed? I don't know. There's somebody in there that his name is Bicho Maldito. Obviously, that's a joke. Let's get rid of that guy.
Yeah, I was looking at that.
Okay.
You were looking at it, but
if he's not against us, then he's not.
If you don't know what
that
means,
with us, he's not against us.
That's good. Yeah, but that kind of name is offensive, bro. I can't take somebody like that serious. Bicho Maldito. Ridiculous. It's a euphemism for penis.
A hell of a one.
The head of the penis, to be specific. It's a euphemism for the head of the penis.
Well, and he even said repent, so I don't know if that is...
I know, but the name is, like, offensive.
No, I'm saying I don't know if that's...
Right.
At us?
I don't know if that means something or... Well, because, it's hard. People come in there... you have different pages and stuff where they use our name and try to mock us. So, I mean, he sounds like he's for us, but I just think the name...
He did mention Amalek, so...
Okay, all right. Anyway, so let's jump into some of the articles so we can go into this. Let me see where I want to start. Hold on. Let me see where I want to start. So let's start with the History Channel, Cinco de Mayo. Not the Seven Things one, the other one. We'll go back to the History Channel. Yeah, I think that's the one. All right. So, looks pretty festive, right? And remember, we have to deal with this. I'll stress again, as Israelites, I know we don't give a damn about any of these holidays, right? Only the Most High's holidays. But you got to understand how we need to reach the people and the message that we got to bring out, right? I would say almost we have to be better at speaking colloquially, right? Meaning more common speech, right? Most people don't know Edom and Esau, right? So that's why we'll always, if we mention that, we'll remind people that's the white man, right? It might sound redundant to those of you that know, but remember, like, our target audience is not just the edification of those who are repenting, right, to the believers, like it tells you in the scriptures, be an example to the believers, but also to the Gentiles of our people as well, right, so that we may try to win them over. So let's go a little bit into the history of Cinco de Mayo, right? So it's the Cinco de Mayo, or the 5th of May, is a holiday that celebrates the date of the Mexican Army's May 5th, 1862 victory over France at the Battle of Puebla during the Franco-Mexican War. So you thought Franco was a Spanish name?
Oh, spaghetti.
Right.
Franco-American.
Franco's a way to classify the French.
Be a ghetto pasta. Right. It's worse than Chef Boyardee.
The day, which falls on Wednesday, May 5th in 2021, is also known as Battle of Puebla Day. Well, it is a relatively minor holiday in Mexico. In the United States, Cinco de Mayo has evolved into a commemoration of Mexican culture and heritage, which is BS because it's not. It's a mockery to Mexican culture and heritage. Again, think of the example I gave with Amalek, right? The so-called Jewish people. If on that day, for Holocaust Remembrance Day, we wanted to remember them by wearing yarmulkes, dressing like they do, and and getting drunk and vomiting all over the place.
Or wearing a yellow star.
Right. And going to or wearing a yellow star, or going to have
walking around wearing gas masks.
Damn.
Bring it out.
Right. Or going in to have, you know, the matzo ball soup special or the gefilte fish special.
Right.
Right? It would be frowned upon, right? It would be frowned upon. It would be frowned upon. But so, you know, it's a little BS when they say it's evolved in the United States.
Without the getting drunk part, is that a sin?
Envy not your oppressor.
Envy not your oppressor. So they're telling you here in this article that it's evolved into a commemoration of Mexican culture and heritage. You know how else you know that's BS? They hate Mexicans in the United States.
Bro, that's what I'm saying. They have them locked in cages right now.
Say that they got cages.
They have kids in cages right now.
Hey, they're celebrating Cinco de Mayo, and you got Issachar, so-called Mexican kids, like you said, freaking locked up, man, away from their
parents. Get that in
parents.
Deuteronomy 28, is it 32?
How does that even make sense?
Get it in the one that's written on the front of your book.
The one that's in Hebrew.
Right.
The Hebrew one.
Let's get that real quick to show you
Phoenician.
to show you the hypocrisy.
That Bible's written in Phoenician.
Hey, make sure you get into the mic. They're saying that they can't hear you in the mic. And I don't know, are you guys controlling the gain on the mics, or should I adjust it in here?
No, we're good. It's just Solomon needs to speak into the mic.
Okay, speak. Yeah, so talk to the mic, not to us.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28 and verse 32.
So I'm bringing this out because Captain Amarai brought out a good point. We just read that they celebrate Cinco de Mayo to commemorate Mexican heritage and history, and yet there's kids in cages, Mexican kids in cages right now at the border that have been taken from their parents that they still don't know who their parents are or where they are.
Wait, they're commemorating them and they're trying to get them out of this country.
Right. This place hates Mexican people.
I'm sure they gave them a little paper plate with a taco and some beans and rice. Like, here you go.
Right.
Happy.
Hey, listen.
Happy Cinco de Mayo.
And in case you got some liberal that comes in and be like, well, don't throw us all in the same basket. We don't. This place hates Mexican people.
That's right.
Let me give you listen. Let me tell you something. Remember how we brought out the thing about racism? And he says you cannot have reverse racism unless you have the power to inflict some sort of control or something over somebody. I'm going to flip that and say, it don't matter that you don't hate Mexicans if you're one of the few that don't. Because whatever you do has no power. Those kids are still in cages, and they've been in cages from the whole Trump administration and now under Biden that you thought it was going to change. They still in cages. And guess what? How you see the media bias, that they're not reporting that to the extent that they were when Trump was in office. And mind you, I got no political affiliation. My affiliation is to God and Christ.
Bring it out.
So you see the hypocrisy about how you don't hear about that too much, but you heard about it all the time under Trump. And supposedly Biden was supposed to be for someone else. You got to be kidding me. So we're showing you that prophecy is being fulfilled right now, and you're going to read something that Cinco de Mayo commemorates Mexican heritage and history? Read this.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28 and verse 32.
Bring it out!
Thy sons and thy daughters shall be given to another people.
Right, so we read this from the historical context, and we talk about slavery, right? And we say your sons and their daughters were given to another people. Well, guess what? Here in the United States of America, there's sons and daughters of the so-called Mexicans, which are the tribe of Issachar, that have been taken from their parents and locked in cages, and they're there to this day. And not that we celebrate birthdays, but I use this to emphasize the years. There's kids in there that went in at 4 and are 6 and 7 now because this thing has been happening from the whole Trump thing all the way up until now in Biden.
They say that without their parents?
Without their parents. That's the emphasis here.
They say that it's impossible to now group them with their parents because it was such a cluster, you know what, that it's literally impossible to say, okay, this is your dad or this is your mom, because the way they did it, they didn't have any tracking records or nothing of anybody.
No, the way they
just
did
threw them in
it,
cages.
yeah, right. The way they did it was like, I don't give a shit.
Exactly.
That's the way they did it. That's the way they did it. Part of my language is real, but it gets me hot when I think about this and I see, and especially when I see the hypocrisy in the reporting, because they're still locked up under Biden.
Hey, they ain't with thought as deep, the Bible says, right? They did it the way they wanted to do it.
Yeah, right.
Right,
exactly. And then you have people of the mindset of, well, that doesn't affect me immediately, so I don't care, right? But then that's a selfish mindset, man, because that's our people that's in there, bro.
Right.
It's insane, and then that's an example of these curses being alive to this day.
Yeah.
that you could still tether to our people to show that we are the people of the book.
Right. So this prophecy that's being read right now is also it was for then, and it's happening right now again to the tribe of Issachar. Read it from the top again.
Thy sons and thy daughters shall be given unto another people.
They'll be given unto another people. They're in the possession and custody. They're wards of the United States. Come on.
And thine eyes shall look and fail with longing for them all the day long.
And they took them from their parents. They didn't give a crap. And their eyes are looking. There's parents of these children in Mexico right now that have been deported back that have no idea. Hey, and let me tell you something. They're not all Mexicans. Remember the caravan that was coming from South and Central America?
Oh, yeah.
So we got to correct ourselves in that too, because then we fall into that United States mind state and just calling them all Mexicans. They're not all Mexicans. They had to pass through Mexico to get to the United States. Right. So you have Northern Kingdom tribes in cages right now, and their parents are looking and they're longing for them all the day long. Read it again from the top, whole thing.
Deuteronomy 28, verse 32. Thy sons and thy daughters shall be given unto another people.
Come on.
And thine eyes shall look and fail with longing for them all the day long.
Why will their eyes look and fail with longing for them all the day long? Come on.
And there shall be no might in thine hand.
And there'll be no might in thine hand. They have no power to go against the rulers of darkness of this world. They have no powers against the principalities in high places to do anything about it.
Hey, Cap.
Yes.
Hey, and can you put a foot in the ass of the Issachars that say that Central Americans are not the same people and are hateful against their own people as well?
Oh, that's happening too. Like Issachar saying it.
Yes.
Well, you mean Mexican,
hates
right?
on
So there's
Guatemalans.
Mexicans that don't give a crap about the Central Americans.
Okay, yeah.
Right.
The
Hey, what's that
caravan.
other scripture where it talks about Issachar and the tents, so that we could get for the
Deuteronomy
rest of
33.
Mexico?
It's a blessing of
Yes,
Zebulon.
get that. So, cause see, we forgot the unity that we had even in this side of the world. When the Inca, when the Aztecs and the Mayans had relations. Okay, come on.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 33 and verse 18. And of Zebulun he said, rejoice.
So that's Central America. That's not Mexicans, right? That's what's known as Central America. Come on.
Rejoice, Zebulun, in thy going out, and Issachar in thy tents.
Right? Meaning in ancient times they had relations, all right? Because they were on the same peninsula, same landmass there. They did trade with each other. All the tribes did when they came over here, even once they forgot their roots.
Hey, read 19.
Go ahead.
They shall call the people unto the mountain. There they shall offer sacrifices of righteousness.
Of righteousness, not hatred, not I'm going against you, not you're not my people, you don't look like me, none of that crap. Go ahead.
For they shall suck of the abundance of the seas and of the treasures hid in the sand.
That's called unity, and that's called charity.
Right.
Working together as one nation, because they understood, okay, who they were. That they were the Israelites, the Bible speaks.
That's right. That's right. So we must remember that as well, right? I mean, a lot of times we talk about the colorism and the divisions between Southern and Northern Kingdom. Hey, within Northern Kingdom, there's divisions and bickering amongst ourselves.
Hey, you have Mexicans that are citizens here that tell their own people to go back home.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
The hell is this?
Yep.
Our younger brother being one of them. He's like, oh, the Mexican. Remember when we went to see him in L.A. that one time? And I think he met us in L.A. He had drove down. And he started talking about all the rhetoric about how, the Mexicans are taking our jobs. I said, word? They're taking your jobs as a cable installer? I said, you got illegal Mexicans working, installing cable and internet? What the hell is this?
Yo, just goes to show you, people just regurgitate the nonsense that
That's
they
exactly
hear.
what
That's
it's
all it is.
regurgitation. That's all it is. Lemmings.
It's
Freaking
like,
sheep.
Just because you see them cutting the grass at the house where you're installing the cable doesn't mean that they're a threat to your
Right. He's a
to
threat
your
because, you know
job.
what? Because he looked at me like he wants my job,
Bro,
when he was
stop.
cutting the lawn.
Stop,
Right.
bro.
Hey, and I hate to use that term sheep because that's a very conservative term that they like to use for everybody else. But they're freaking sheep. The sheep that are saying other people are sheep are freaking sheep.
The sheep are saying, yep.
The sheep are sheep. Freaking idiots. All right, so let's go back to reading about
Ship
Cinco
ain't
de
right, man.
That ship ain't right. So it says, while it is a relatively minor holiday in Mexico, in the United States, Cinco de Mayo has evolved into a commemoration of Mexican culture and heritage. If by Mexican culture and heritage you mean drinking to excess, eating tacos and faux authentic Mexican food, then that's exactly what it is here in the United States. Particularly in areas with large Mexican-American populations. That's a lie. Cinco de Mayo history. Cinco de Mayo is not Mexican Independence Day. It is not. A popular misconception. Instead, it commemorates a single battle. In 1861, Benito Juarez, a lawyer and member of the indigenous Zapotec tribe, right, was elected president of Mexico. At the time, the country was in financial ruin after years of internal strife, and the new president was forced to default on debt payments to European governments. In response, France, Britain, and Spain sent naval forces to Veracruz, Mexico, demanding repayment.
Wait, what was it? Who did they send?
France, Britain, and Spain.
All Edomites.
All Edomites, yep.
Not just all Edomites. When we read in Daniel 7 later, those are the three horns that America lifted up.
It is so true.
And took over. So as we go into this history, you're going to see prophecy. All right? So it says Britain and Spain negotiated with Mexico and withdrew their forces. So they made some sort of arrangement, right?
That's the Confederacy.
Right.
You know why it's important, Cap, to bring this out? Because Paul in the New Testament warned us about the rudiments of this world and following after traditions of man, because that's the MO of America in general. They'll take anything and spin it and make it a celebration to keep our people away from the laws.
Yep. That's exactly it. That's exactly it. Spin it. Spin it, keep them away from the truth and the laws, right? So it says France, however, ruled by Napoleon III, decided to use the opportunity to carve an empire out of Mexican territory. Correct? Because France was late to the game in the conquest of the New World, what they called the New World. So they basically were trying to get their peace now, right? So it says, late in 1861, a well-armed French fleet stormed Veracruz, landing a large force of troops and driving President Juarez and his government into retreat. The Battle of Puebla, certain that success would come swiftly, 6,000 French troops under General Charles Lettre de Lorraine.
Every May 5th, Americans across the U.S. take the opportunity to celebrate Cinco de Mayo with parades, parties, mariachi music, folk dancing, Mexican food, and of course,
all right.
When it went, I thought it was a sound effect. I was like, oh, that was pretty good.
All right, I thought they were having sound effects.
It's getting better.
Yeah. He's getting
so
better.
it says,
that's a good brother right there.
Set out to attack Puebla de Los Angeles, a small town in east central Mexico. So those of you Los Angeles thinking that, you know,
East Los,
right? Thinking that you named that place, right? And the irony in it, right? So much of our people are there. And it's called Los Angeles, right? Meaning the angels, okay? So it says a small town in east central Mexico. Mockery. They do it in front of your face. From his new headquarters in the north, Juarez rounded up a ragtag force of 2,000 loyal men. Many of them either indigenous Mexicans or of mixed ancestry, meaning children of the slave trade, right? So you had some that when they fled to the mountains during the conquest of the conquistadors, and they retained some of their lineage, and the others of mixed ancestry, meaning the ones who, we've gone over this on the show, where you had mestizo, you had this one, you had that one. It says, and he sent them to Puebla. So 2,000 against 6,000, and not as well armed. Right? So it says the vastly outnumbered and poorly supplied Mexicans, led by Texas-born General Ignacio Zaragoza, fortified the town. Now, don't get it twisted with Texas and Texas being a state and all that stuff, right? That was Mexico, too. So when they say, they used to call it Tejas, right? Tejas. So it says, led by Texas-born General Ignacio Zaragoza, fortified the town and prepared for the French assault. On May 5th, 1862, Lorenzens gathered his army, supported by heavy artillery, before the city of Puebla and led an assault. How long did the Battle of Puebla last? The battle lasted from daybreak to early evening. So, and Issachar got the victory.
That was quick.
In one day. So 2,000 against 6,000. Heavy artillery, fully armed against the French, right? And they beat their behinds, right? In a workday.
2 nations are in thy womb, right?
That's it.
And one nation shall be stronger than the other.
That's right. So the battle lasted from daybreak to early evening, and when the French finally retreated, they had lost nearly 500 soldiers. Fewer than 100 Mexicans had been killed in the clash.
Although not a major strategic win in the overall war against the French, Zaragoz's success at the Battle of Puebla on May 5th represented a great symbolic victory for the Mexican government and bolstered the resistance movement. In 1867, thanks in part to military support and political pressure from the United States, which was finally in a position to aid its besieged neighbor. And we're going to talk about what that aid is, right? It's funny how I like History Channel for some of these things because it really makes it concise in giving the history. But there's always a spin with History Channel where they won't really show the devils that the United States are.
So they'll show like us like winning, but that didn't last long. Because what happened was,
no, that
right? Am I lying?
That video that was playing, I guarantee if he would have played it, that video would have contradicted what this was saying anyways.
Probably, right? Yeah, it was going to talk about It was already saying margaritas. It was going to talk about freaking margaritas.
Like right here, it says, although not a major strategic win in overall war against the French, then it can go and say, but continues to live in the destroyed hearts and minds of people everywhere.
Right, right. So it says in 1867, thanks in part to military support and political pressure from the United States, which you're going to find out when we go into the doctrine of devils, that is the Monroe Doctrine, right? Because I know we think doctrine of devils and we exclusively think religion, but you got to remember in Revelations when it talks about the lamb with the two horns, that's the two-party political system, right? So it's identifying who that is. And remember, in First Maccabees, it talks about politics being a religion as well. So there's doctrines that are not just Christianity. It's all under Christianity, right? The whole two-party political systems derive from all of that. Like, that's the key driver and destructor of our people. But it'll come to you and manifest itself in different ways. So you got to be open to that. That's how they destroy our people's minds. So it says, supposedly the United States offered support and they pressured France to get out, right? And we'll read more about that later. And they pressured France to get out. But not because it was from benevolence, right? You're going to read and understand that it was to line it up for the taking for themselves.
Want to prove it?
Go ahead.
America fought against Spain, right? When it
yes.
Puerto Rico?
Right.
Was that for benign?
Right. No,
it was benevolent,
not.
rather?
It was not. It was not. It was not a benevolent act. You got something? Go ahead.
This is Proverbs 4:2. It says, "For I give you good doctrine, forsake ye not my law." So going back to what you're saying about the doctrine stuff, God gave us a good doctrine, which is His laws. Anything outside of that, that's the doctrine of devils. Anything outside of that is the doctrine of devils when it comes to the politics, the religion, the school systems, whatever the case may be. Whatever deters our people from the laws of God is a doctrine of devils.
Right. Right. You're on point. So it says, so it was finally in a position to aid its besieged neighbor after the end of the Civil War. France finally withdrew. No, it's that after they finished their skirmish, they said, now let's consolidate our power in the region. And I'm not just throwing that out there. When we read about the Monroe Doctrine, you're gonna understand what I'm talking about. So it says the same year, Austrian Archduke. Right. So I was gonna go into where is that real quick with the Dukes of Esau, so you understand when they talk about dukes, right? Because I think it mentions it.
It's in Genesis.
It's in Genesis. They talk about it. I think they do talk a little bit about it later too. But I'm not gonna go too deep into it. But letting you know that the title of Duke, that's an Edomite thing. So you want to know another way to identify who Esau is today? Look at what they used to call themselves. They used to call themselves dukes.
Right, that's not a modern word.
That's not a modern word. They used to call themselves dukes. You got it?
It's not. I was just gonna say it's not a coincidence that the show The Dukes of Hazzard, the car has a Confederate flag on it.
Right.
And they glorify
that's a good point,
right
man.
In front of our face.
That's a good point, bro.
Right.
You found that in there?
Genesis 36.
36
and 15.
Genesis chapter 36 and verse 15. These were the dukes of the sons of Esau.
Right, so we're not gonna read all the names and stuff like that, but they read the lineage of Esau, and at the end of the lineage of Esau, it says these are what?
These are the sons of Esau.
No, the dukes.
These are the dukes of the sons of Esau.
Right.
In the beginning.
Hey, and you want to know something that's real heavy and subtle? That's probably going to go over a lot of people's heads with this. Read it very slowly, the beginning of that verse.
Genesis 36, verse 15.
Let's see if you're with me, Shlomo.
These were dukes of the sons of Esau.
Right, so it's letting you know these were the dukes of the son of Esau, right? Making the connection, because nowhere else in the scripture does it talk about dukes.
Nope.
Nowhere else does it talk about dukes in relation to another group of people. So when so another way, so how could Esau be? Are they called dukes in the Middle East for people that want to say that Esau is the Middle Easterns? Freaking idiots!
Hey, in the song for the intro, it says just the good old boy.
Check this out. Here's the definition of dukes: a sovereign male ruler of a continental European duchy.
What does it say again? Read it again.
A sovereign male ruler of a continental European duchy. Noblemen of the highest hereditary rank.
Hereditary.
Right.
Hey, and keep reading just so you can get a little bit of it. Let's actually go down to 19. Come on. I know we're going to read some of the names, but look at how they named them so you can get the emphasis.
Wait, just real quick, too. It says hereditary, right?
Uh-huh.
So the same way that you got to be born blood to be a duke, you got to be born blood to be an Israelite.
That's right. It's the same thing. Why is it different? Why is it different when it comes to other nations and not ours? Heavy point.
Now.
So these were the dukes of the sons of Esau. Come on.
The sons of Eliphaz, the firstborn son of Esau. Duke Teman.
Uh-huh.
Duke Omar.
Come on.
Duke Zepho.
Come on.
Duke Kenaz.
They as we continue to read, it doesn't say, when you read about the other nations, it'll say Dan, Naphtali, it'll say Cain, Tubal Cain, Nebuchadnezzar, all this other stuff, right? But now when you get to Esau, it tells you this was a hereditary title that stayed with them.
But look, again, is that their pomp, right? A nobleman of the highest hereditary rank. So they self-proclaim that they're the superior race. That's like they
fire.
do now.
That's fire right there. Listen, the whole thing was fire. Hey, we just added more fire when you bring that definition into the thing, bro. That's it. It was a raging fire. Now we made that thing an inferno.
That's right.
Right? Because it says it's hereditary.
And check it out. It says rhyming slang for fork, hand, or fist.
Yep.
Genesis 27.
Yep. Look at that. Look at that. Go ahead. Read a little more.
Duke Korah, Duke Gatam, and Duke Amalek.
Come on.
These are the dukes that came of Eliphaz in the land of Edom. These were the sons of Ada.
Come on.
And these are the sons of Ruel, Esau's son. Duke Nahath, Duke Zerah, Duke Shammah, Duke Mizah. These are the dukes that came of Ruel in the land of Edom.
All right, so you could jump
in
down
the
to
land
verse
of
19.
Edom.
Yep.
In the land of Edom.
Yep. Wait. No, read on. Verse, where did you go? The land of Edom. Finish that verse.
These are the sons of Bashemath, Esau's wife.
The land of Edom, Esau's wife, letting you know where the dukes come from. Jump to verse 19.
Verse 19. These are the sons of Esau, who is Edom, and these are their dukes.
That's it. Okay.
Go ahead.
So the question here is Duke higher than Prince? Right? Is Duke higher than Prince? What does Israel mean?
Prince with the power.
Prince of God, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Prince with the power, right? Check this out. Whereas generally the title of prince requires royal blood, the title of duke does not.
Wow.
They hate us because they ain't us, so they had to come up with their own titles.
They hate us because they ain't us.
Remember what the question was? Is duke higher than prince? We're the royal blood.
We're the royal blood.
This is why we call Prince of God. That's what Israel means, right?
Yep. That's
and
it.
they called themselves. Remember, let's not forget what happened at Tower of Babel. Let us make a name for ourselves.
That's right.
So they said they took, because I'm sure the etymology, if you go back to Duke, it probably, but it tells you what it means, hand, fist. So they say our blessing is to take over everything, right? By power, by force. So we're dukes.
Right. That's what. So they called themselves dukes, and that's the only place where you read the breakdown of the seed, of the generations of the nations, and they all start with Duke.
Yep.
So back to Cinco there, Mayo. Right?
Kept real quick.
Yeah.
Above is this is Albuquerque 8505. This is the baseball team in Albuquerque. And you got our people rocking those hats, and they have the Spaniard on the logo.
Right, because they're all Esau. They're all Esau.
This is our we promote
letting you know there was Dukes there, right? Like El Duque that used to pitch for the Yankees.
Hey, what did they call the most prominent the representative of Edomites? John Wayne, the Duke.
The Duke. They called him the Duke. Yep, John Wayne, they called him the Duke. So it says the same year, Austrian Archduke Ferdinand Maximilian, who has been installed as Emperor of Mexico in 1864 by Napoleon, they take lands, they call it after themselves, was captured and executed by Juarez forces. Good. Puebla de Los Angeles was renamed for General Zaragoza, who died of typhoid fever months after his historic triumph there. What they don't tell you is that the typhoid fever was given to him by the freaking Dukes.
Like something we're experiencing now.
Right. Same thing.
I ain't gonna mention it.
Cinco de Mayo.
The Conjolio.
Right. They might cut us off for talking about that. So Cinco de Mayo in Mexico. Within Mexico, Cinco de Mayo is primarily observed in the state of Puebla, where Zaragoza's unlikely victory occurred, although other parts of the country also partake in the celebration. Traditions include military parades, recreations of the Battle of Puebla, and other festive events. Not specials at the restaurant, not margarita 2-for-1s, not Mexican beers, a bucket for $6.
All you can eat churros.
Right. So go into
churros, elotes,
some mayonesa.
You know what I'm saying?
So
you really are a funny guy.
For many Mexicans, however, May 5th is a day like any other. It is not a federal holiday, so offices, banks, and stores remain open. Why do we celebrate Cinco de Mayo in the United States? In the United States, Cinco de Mayo is widely interpreted. Here's the key. Rather than understand and know what the holiday is about, they interpret it as a celebration of Mexican culture and heritage, particularly in areas with substantial Mexican-American population. That part is a lie. That part is a lie. Chicano activists raised awareness of the holiday in the 1960s, in part because they identified with the victory of indigenous Mexicans such as Juarez over European invaders during the Battle of Puebla. That's the difference. So if the activists in the 60s, like Dr. Sanchez and so on, were advocating for the holiday, it was because they were trying to bring it. So you know what they did? Same thing they did to Puerto Rico with the flag. The Puerto Rican flag today was a sign of the Nationalist Party that we've gone over on this show. It was a sign of rebellion against their oppressors in the United States. And what they did was, when they put them to sleep with the tax breaks and giving them a governor and seats at the table supposedly, they adopted the resistance flag as the national flag, and it lost all its meaning after that.
Hey, and they weren't even able to create. That's not even the original one.
No.
What you see now is not what they created.
No.
That's what the United States says. Okay, but it's gonna look this way.
Yep. So they took it away. Listen to what it's telling you here. Cinco de Mayo should represent victory of indigenous Mexicans over European invaders. That's what it should. It should embolden you and let you know that we can overcome. Now, we know that our warfare is not carnal but spiritual. So we, here in IUIC, right, as Israelites, we're going to tell you you can overcome by returning to God's laws and keeping his commandment. But the point is, they went and they interpreted different, and that wasn't by mistake. It's by design. And they said, listen, we can't have anything that galvanizes these people.
Yep.
Because if you galvanize these people, they will overtake us. So it says, today, revelers mark the occasion with parades, parties, mariachi music, Mexican folk dancing, and traditional foods such as tacos and mole poblano. Some of the largest festivals are held in Los Angeles, Chicago, and Houston. So, confusion with Mexican Independence Day. Many people outside Mexico mistakenly believe that Cinco de Mayo is a celebration of Mexican independence, which was declared more than 50 years before the Battle of Puebla. 52 to be exact, according to Officer Shlomo. Independence Day in Mexico, Dia de la Independencia, is commemorated on September 16th. The anniversary of the revolution, priest Miguel Hidalgo de Costilla's famous Grito de Dolores, the Cry of Dolores, referring to the city of Dolores, Hidalgo, Mexico, a call to arms that amounted to a declaration of war against the Spanish colonial government in 1810. So, let me get the other one. Actually, no, let's go to the wiki one. I'm only going to read a little of the beginning.
Yeah, that whole thing about it being in predominantly Mexican places is such a lie, because on my way here from downtown, Esau was gearing up for that thing, bro.
Yeah, that's
dude. It's commercialized like everything else they freaking do. It is. They make a lot of money today, man.
Exactly.
No, but here's the amazing thing about Esau's lies. This is why I say they're false prophets. We're gonna read the definition of prophet later, because I know we always associate it with religion, right? Which politics is a religion. The lower class of Esau, they'll read that and they'll believe that, and then they don't look into it more. So they're assuming that while they're out there doing margaritas, that I'm in Maryvale doing margaritas and tacos, and right. And if you're from Arizona, you know why I'm saying Maryvale, because that's hard body Issachar over there, right? That I'm in Maryvale or I'm in Mexico and I'm doing the same thing like them, and that's what it represents. Because meaning they just take what we read here and say, oh yeah, that's what it means, right? Yeah, that's what it means. That's what it represents, and just assume that okay, yeah, it's a festive time for them and whatever, not really realizing the real significance of it is victory over our oppressors, right? So it says Cinco de Mayo. This is from Wiki. Is an annual celebration held on May 5th, which commemorates the anniversary of Mexico's victory over the French Empire at the Battle of Puebla. Much of what we read in 1862. Here's the part. We read all that. Let me go down. This is the part that I want. More popular in the United States than in Mexico. So here's the contradiction. History Channel kept saying it's largely celebrated in Mexican-American dense populations, but it's telling you that it's more popular in the United States than in Mexico. Cinco de Mayo has become associated with the celebration of Mexican-American culture. And if by culture you mean the things that we spoke about, then yeah, sure, it's Mexican-American culture. Celebrations began in California, where they have been observed annually since 1863. The day gained nationwide popularity in the 1980s. So this is where the real modern iteration of it comes. This is why I wanted to get the wiki, all right? After all that history that we read, to show you that that's not what it represents anymore. The day gained nationwide popularity in the 1980s due to advertising campaigns by beer, wine, and tequila companies. Today, Cinco de Mayo generates beer sales on par with the Super Bowl.
Hey, that says a lot.
That's what it's going into. Yep.
That says a lot, because the Super Bowl is the #1 watched program in America.
That's the biggest holiday in America. It's not an official holiday. That's the biggest holiday in America.
It is the biggest holiday. You're right about that.
That's the biggest.
It's a holy. A lot of people look at it as a holy day.
Super Bowl Sunday is sanctified.
When I was in the military, they would give us that Monday off because they knew that we would all
Some
celebrate.
jobs do that.
Yeah.
Some jobs do that today.
So it says. So it's about beer sales. It's become commercialization. It's become focused on that aspect of things. Where was I?
You know, interestingly enough, you mentioned 1863, right? Isn't that where the proclamation of the Emancipation Proclamation was signed?
It was 1863. Yep. In Mexico, the commemoration of the battle continues to be mostly ceremonial, such as through military parades or battle reenactments. The city of Puebla marks the event with various festivals and reenactments of the battle. Cinco de Mayo is sometimes mistaken for Mexican Independence Day, the most important national holiday in Mexico, which is celebrated on September 16th, commemorating the Cry of Dolores. All right. So it says Cinco de Mayo has been referenced and featured in entertainment, media, and has become an increasingly global celebration. I hate even reading this last part. It's become a global celebration of Mexican culture, cuisine, and heritage. Not even cuisine. Not even really. It's like Mexican-themed cuisine, but it's not Mexican cuisine.
They just put Mexican titles to the whatever it is.
Bro, Mexican street tacos do not look like the tacos from Taco Bell. That's not authentic.
The hell is this?
That's not authentic Mexican food. It's Mexican style food.
Mexican food is probably the easiest to emulate, though. That's probably why.
They're so full of crap.
Hey, a lot of these restaurants, man, that you think are Issachar owned, man, they're owned by Esau, man.
Yeah. Oh, a ton of them, bro. A ton of them.
And they just use that. Dude, just like I bring that up because Cinco de Mayo,
right.
they capitalize on that as a business all year round.
You're right.
Yeah, you gotta always ask what they put in the beans, because a lot of times it's pork lard.
He said, "Don't play with my beans." All right, listen.
Don't play with my beans. All right, so let's go to 7 things you may not know about Cinco de Mayo. So Mexico had just gotten over a civil war in 1862, right? Is the first thing you got to understand. So it says the so-called War of the Reform broke out in 1858, soon after liberals drafted a new constitution aimed at reducing the power and influence of the Catholic Church. So they were having an issue with the church now at this point. Remember how Bishop was bringing out with the papal bulls and the church was responsible for all this stuff. The church was largely responsible for the transatlantic slave trade and for the slave trade in the indigenous peoples of the Americas. All right. And the Holocaust of the indigenous people of the Americas. So they're letting you know that there was a civil war because there was a faction that wanted to uphold the church and take a foothold, and there was a faction that didn't. During the armed conflict, Mexico had two governments, a conservative one in Mexico City, led by General Felix Zuloaga, and a liberal one in Veracruz, led by Benito Juarez, president of the Supreme Court. The conservatives, who had the support of the Pope, won a series of initial skirmishes, but the liberals controlled the ports and were therefore better able to equip their troops. They emerged victorious in January 1861 when they retook Mexico City. The country remained starkly divided, however, with conservatives plotting their revenge. Second thing to know, European troops invaded because Mexico was broke, because they had pillaged and robbed and took everything from Mexico. It says after the War of Reform, Mexico had virtually no money in its treasury and owed tens of millions of dollars to foreign debtors. So let's just show you the craftiness of Esau.
Yeah.
The wealth that was in Mexico. When you read the history,
bro, it tells you that it was a metropolis that was far greater than anything.
We've gone over it. We went over the details of it on the show.
It was far greater than anything that they have known in their known world at the time.
Yep. The systems of commerce that we had, the cleanliness, the way we had our cities and streets organized. It's in the journals of these Edomite conquistadors, and they talk to you about how impressed it was and how far beyond anything in Europe. All right. And they came here and they took all the gold. They took all the jewels and precious stones. They took everything, right? And then tried to rule as an empire here and get into the agricultural thing to continue to make money, right? With us as the slaves, farming it, free labor. And then when they did make these agreements where we may have won battles or pushed them out or whatever it was, they actually did so. The covenant we made with them was that we were indebted to them. So they took our money, but we were indebted to them. Not that they should be indebted to us, right? But we were indebted to them. So it says we had no money, right?
Hey, that happened with Haiti too, right?
Yes.
After Levi kicked out the French, they say, "Well, now you guys owe us for
now you owe
for
us.
our losses."
So they owed tens of millions of dollars to foreign debtors, and tens of millions in the 1800s was, the equivalent of
probably trillions.
Yeah, I would that would make sense. The sale of expropriated church property brought very little relief. As a result, newly elected President Juarez suspended payment of all foreign debts for 2 years. He said, you know how when you're so broke, you decide who you're going to pay and who you're not? He said, well, we ain't paying these foreign invaders.
They're just going to have to keep knocking on my door.
They're going to have to. Right.
Right. I ain't picking up no phone.
He said, listen, man, it's going to take them 2 years to get here anyway. Yeah. He said it's going to take them 2 years to get here anyway. He goes, so listen, I got a year to send them the letter.
Yeah. It ain't going to show up on my credit report for 2 years.
Yeah, I think sometimes we forget the nature of the times, right? Mm-hmm. In order to tell them we're not going to pay anymore, right? That means he had to send a letter, right? Yeah.
Which took about a month to get there.
No, maybe longer, right? Maybe longer,
pay
right?
First class,
right? And then for them to gear up their armies and everything and come back, so he said, we'll suspend it for 2 years, and then when they get here, we'll be like, here. So he says a move that prompted an immediate backlash from Spain, France, and Great Britain. There's those three again.
Well, the post wasn't on a horse; it was on a burro, so it took a while
to get to the port, right?
They don't run, right? A burro don't run. They just walk away. They do whatever the hell they want to.
He said, "Send that thing just real standard, not first class at
all."
Right. Make sure it gets there real slow.
What they call that first class, but it takes like 10 years to get there. A freaking letter first class.
Send it media mail.
Yeah.
The envelope that they send you with no postage necessary, but it takes a month. My title took like a month to get there. I was like, what the hell, bro?
Like, that's the one when they're sorting and they're like this. They're like, oh. Delayed.
Can you back up a little bit from 2 to the 1 again? Because I'm seeing the reason they were broke was because of the infighting, right? Between
they had a civil war.
So before that, that was infighting that was probably political too. Esau had a hand in that because that's how they.
Well,
did
yeah,
it.
because the Catholic Church was involved.
Yeah,
in
right.
So,
So-
it was political. It was political.
So that was all strategy to get us to fight against
Divide
each
and
other.
conquer, man.
Right.
Yes. So it says, so it says Spain, France, and Great Britain. So with the United States too consumed by the Civil War to enforce the Monroe Doctrine, which we'll get to in a moment, troops from those three European powers began arriving in Veracruz in late 1861.
European powers.
Spain and Great Britain almost immediately withdrew, but about 6,000 French troops pushed inland toward the capital, backed by Mexico's vanquished conservative leaders. France was considered extremely potent militarily when it attacked Mexico. Remember, France helped the U.S. to win the Civil War. All right.
Yeah, they came in at the last.
They came in with their
the
navy.
11th hour. They
right,
came in
because the U.S. really didn't have a navy at that point. So the France came in with the navy behind the British navy that was docked there, and there was like a whole pincer move. And
just to show you how angry the Most High was with us, because they were going to lose that war.
Yes.
They were going to lose that war, man. And then France said, all right, Most High went, bloop,
he had to
help him.
he had to make the prophecies be fulfilled.
Dude,
and
isn't that but that's what I'm saying. What was crazy about that, man? And let's not forget the Louisiana. France owned a big part of America. We went over that.
Yep.
As
Louisiana
well.
Purchase.
So they were in our ass for the longest too.
Yep. Absolutely.
They ain't innocent, man. You over here thinking, you're eating croissants and stuff like they like you.
Croissants.
You know? Yeah, croissants. Because the R is quoi.
Eclair.
Yeah.
Levi.
Quoi.
I eat the hell out of some croissants and eclairs, though.
The eclairs. Eclairs are French?
Yeah, eclairs French, bro.
I always thought they were Italian because they sell them in the Italian bakeries in New York.
I know. It's just they're so good that even the Italians got to rock with them. They got croissants in the Italian bakery too.
Europe is Europe.
Yeah, right.
Right.
So they all look the same to me.
Yeah, right. They all look alike.
They all look alike. So it says France had an extremely potent military. In 1862, the French had one of the best armies in the world. Arriving at Puebla on May 4th, they were coming off a series of victories in Southeast Asia and Northern Africa and were loaded with firepower, including long-range rifles that put the Mexicans' creaky muskets to shame. They were so overconfident, in fact, that they didn't even bother to properly prepare their artillery. On the morning on May 5th, the French tried to intimidate the Mexicans with screeching bugle calls and advanced bayonet maneuvers. But after a full day of fighting, including 3 unsuccessful uphill charges, they were forced to retreat due to heavy casualties.
And they got that from us, right?
Yep.
The shofar, the blowing of the bugle, because that's something that we did. Remember, that's how Jericho was taken. Remember, we walked around a bunch of times. We started blowing the shofars.
Yep. Yeah, that's right. That's right. We had to march around it 7 times, I think he said.
Something like that, man.
Yep.
Probably because Most High loves number 7.
Yeah, I think he said 7 times.
And blowing the shofar.
So Mexico's victory at Puebla slowed, but did not stop France's assault. In the wake of the battle, an infuriated Emperor Napoleon III ordered that almost 30,000 more troops be sent to Mexico. This time around, under a new commander, they were able to overrun Puebla and easily conquer Mexico City. Juarez and his supporters then fled to the mountains to conduct guerrilla operations, while Napoleon III installed Ferdinand Maximilian von Habsburg, second in line to the Austro-Hungarian throne. This was the Archduke that we spoke about as Mexico's ruler. So mind you, this was France, but they put the Austrian Archduke in charge, letting you know they're all the same people.
Yep.
The French occupation of Mexico was short-lived. Back in France, Napoleon III was growing increasingly concerned that Prussia, fresh off victories against Denmark and Austria, would next try to reclaim the perpetually disputed territories of Alsace and Lorraine. Meanwhile, the Civil War had wrapped up, and U.S. officials were exerting diplomatic pressure on the French and supplying weapons to Juarez's army. It goes to show you how grimy they were from back then. The French just helped them win the Civil War, right? I'm sorry, it was the Revolutionary War that they helped them win.
Revolutionary.
I'm getting my history twisted.
Revolutionary. That's how. Right. They would again.
But still, it goes to show you
going back to prophecy,
thing,
right? Because the little horn is America that came from Britain.
Yes.
So if it wasn't for France, prophecy would not have been.
Right.
Most High letting France come in.
Yes.
That's the prophecy.
Yes. Yes. So it's the Revolutionary War. But still, so to go to show you, they were allies then, right? And then now they're like, hey, yo, get the hell out. So it says they were exerting diplomatic pressure on the French and supplying weapons to Juarez's army. That was the beginning of the MO that they use and still use to this day in Central South America and the Caribbean. Again, School of the Americas, we've gone over this. The Iran-Contra scandal, they supplied the guerrillas of the regime that they want in power. They did it in Afghanistan. That's why you have the Taliban now. But Papa Bush helped supply them. And today you have the Taliban based off of
so that was the Charlie Wilson's war.
Right, Charlie Wilson's war. Right. So they supplied them with the guns, right? So they figure, hey, how do we not get ourselves in there so that we have casualties but still support the regime? Hey, let's give them money, let's give them resources, right? So that they can overthrow the people that are there. And that's why they tell you they did it in Afghanistan because they didn't want Russia in control. And that's why the Taliban uses a lot of Russian. That's why they use AKs and all that stuff.
They did it with ISIS too. They were supplying ISIS. That was known fact.
So here you see what the genesis of where that came from. When the French were trying to take over Mexico, not because of benevolence. You're going to see with the Monroe Doctrine what it was really about. They wanted to supply weapons to Juarez, so they supplied weapons to Juarez's army. With his coffers running low, Napoleon III decided in 1866 to end France's occupation of Mexico. Maximilian unwisely stayed and briefly fought on, surrendering only after his troops, because he was an archduke, so he felt like that's his pomp.
Because the pride in his heart had
hand and fist.
So he's surrendering only after his troops were routed at Querétaro on June 19th, 1867. He and his top generals were executed by a firing squad. I don't need 6. I don't need 7. So here's what I want to do. Let's go to the Monroe Doctrine. That's what I want. Let's do the Monroe Doctrine.
Give him what he wants.
I mean, if you remember history, even I think like in junior high, you start going over this stuff. We went over this stuff. So in a speech to Congress in 1823, right? This is all connected, right? So we're done with Cinco de Mayo to a point, right? And now we're going to move on to dealing with Esau and his spirit, right? So it says, in a speech to Congress in 1823, President James Monroe warned European powers not to attempt further colonization or otherwise interfere in the Western Hemisphere, stating that the United States would view any such interference as a potentially hostile act. Later known as the Monroe Doctrine, this policy principle will become a cornerstone of U.S. diplomacy for generations. U.S. motivations behind the Monroe Doctrine. By the early 1820s, many Latin American countries had won their independence from Spain or Portugal, just like we read with Puerto Rico. They had won their independence. They were about to instill a thing, right, a government, their own self-government, and then the U.S. came in. With the U.S. government recognizing the new republics of Argentina, Chile, Peru, Colombia, and Mexico in 1822. Yet both Britain and the United States worried that the powers of continental Europe would make future attempts to restore colonial regimes in the region. Russia had also inspired concerns of imperialism, with Tsar Alexander I claiming sovereignty over territory in the Pacific Northwest and banning foreign ships from approaching the coast in 1821. Alaska was, I think, part of that thing with Russia at one point. So I think we somehow got it from Russia. They had claim to it. They were going to try to come in from that way because they tell you that like Siberia's right there and all that, like connected to Russia, I think, when you look at geography, right? So it says, though Monroe had initially supported the idea of a joint U.S.-British resolution against future colonization in Latin America, Secretary of State John Quincy Adams argued that joining forces with the British could limit, here's their real motivations. There was no benevolence in this. They said, we can do a joint U.S.-British thing, right? The only reason they were going to do that was because they wanted the support of the British Army. He said, joining forces with the British could limit future U.S. opportunities for expansion. What was on his mind was enlarging his desire as hell. Yep. Listen, I know we bring the scripture out a lot. Let's get it ready in Habakkuk 2. I'm going to finish reading this here, all right? So you can see what we're dealing with here. So it says John Quincy Adams. So he argued that joining forces, so this help that was given, that's being put in such a great light, he said the real reason they didn't want the French or the Portuguese or the Spanish or even the British at this point in there with them is because they were eyeing Central South America, what's known as Mexico, and so on and so forth, as future U.S. opportunities for expansion. So they didn't want these people to colonize, but they could colonize.
Mm-hmm. Again, going back to Puerto Rico.
Right.
Same thing. They didn't want the Spaniards to colonize, so because they were really in alliance. Esau hates Esau. Here's where everybody got to understand, man. They don't even like their own selves because of what we're going to read right here.
Right. So he says he convinced Monroe. So he said that Britain might have imperialist ambitions of its own. So he convinced Monroe to make a unilateral statement of U.S. policy that would set an independent course for the nation and claim a new role as protector of the Western Hemisphere.
Dude.
This is their craftiness of their word. This is what I'm saying. This is doctrine.
The inward thoughts are deep, man.
He said, we're going to profess this as the protector of the Western Hemisphere. What he really did was lay claim to half the globe.
Yep.
Right? Because you have a Western Hemisphere and an Eastern Hemisphere. Under the guise of being the protector, but you just read the motivations were that they have their own ambitions and opportunities for expansion. Meaning they wanted more land than what they had.
You know why they knew that was the case? Because they understand their spirit and prophecy. That they will be the dew of heaven, right, and the fatness of the land. They understood that, and they would take that by war. They understand prophecy. They do.
They do.
Well, and plus, this is true today, too, that this is actually a thing because people call the U.S. the world police.
Oh, we're going to read about that, too.
That's like a known thing.
That's basically what it basically
They call them the leaders of the
as.
free world.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Super powerful.
But you're right, the world police also, they call them.
Read this in Habakkuk real quick, though, right? Because we just read that he says their goal was to maintain opportunities for expansion, for U.S. expansion. Come on.
The book of Habakkuk, chapter 2. You want verse 4?
Yeah.
Verse 4.
Bring it out!
Behold, his soul, which is lifted up, is not upright in him.
Right, so it's not for because he was trying to be the protector of the Western Hemisphere. He was protecting his interest in the Western Hemisphere. Come on.
But the just shall live by his faith.
He says, but the just shall live by his faith, right? Meaning us as the Israelites will live by faith, right? Come on, read on.
Yea, also, because he transgresseth by wine, he is a proud man.
He's a proud man, right? This is why it says they came in there, the French, not prepared.
I was going to say, how proud is he?
How proud is he?
Hold on. Transgressive by wine, meaning lies.
Yep.
Right.
That was, you just mentioned, they had another interest.
They had other interests. Yep, the lies. Come on.
He is a proud man, neither keepeth at home.
Neither he keepeth at home. He just took the whole United States from Gad and Reuben.
Yep.
And he said, we got to protect our interests there because these guys might want to come here too and take this place. He said, we got to protect our interests here. Let's not even roll with Britain on this. I think you should make a unilateral statement that this is ours and that's it.
Hey, every beast lover of his kind, right? They stick with it. So they know who they are. They know what's in their spirit.
Yep. They in their even though they might not know it here, in their bones, in their how like how it says the flesh warf against the spirit. Even though they might not know it here, right? What's encoded in their genes and their DNA is that they're gonna live by the sword, that they're gonna conquer lands, that they're gonna do stuff like that.
Guess what? Same thing with an Israelite. Because we know our whole life that something ain't right, but we just can't place it. It's the same concept. That's the way the most. This is spiritual.
Yeah. I'll prove that right now.
Prove it.
Romans 2 verse 14. It says,
Bring it out!
For when the Gentiles, which have not the law, do by nature the things contained in the law.
That's right.
These having not the law are a law unto themselves.
Break it down.
So it's exactly what you're saying. It says
don't just leave that there. Something of that magnitude.
It's exactly what you guys were saying. It's the same thing how we knew that something was not right within us and how we lived and everything else. And we came, so when we heard the law, it resonated. Like how Captain said, it may not be here, but in their spirit, that's how they live. It's just in them. You can't make nothing straight that God made crooked.
That's that preserve. You see it in subtle ways in interactions when there'll be a whole line of, even to their own people, there'll be a whole line of people and their self-entitlement is, the line starts here for me. Or there'll be, I'll be talking to a customer service rep and they'll just butt in because they're like, well, I'm, or the brushing aside, all these little subtle ways that they do stuff like that.
Bring on up. Give me Romans 8:16. This is going to prove it too because it works both sides. It works both ways because once you understand that everything is spiritual, that these bodies that we have are just a box for our spirit. To move that spirit around, it's a vehicle to move that spirit around.
Right.
Right. Because when we die, what happens? Our body goes on the ground, right? Disintegrate, and our spirit goes back up until he decides to bring it back in another vehicle again.
Right. Because everything has a spirit. It's just that his spirit's not upright.
Right.
He has a spirit as well too. It's just programmed differently.
Well, you're right, because a tree has a spirit.
Right. Exactly.
Anything that grows, that has life, it's a spirit in it. We know that's how the Most High made it. The ocean, right? The sun, the moon. Right? It all has a spirit in it. Go ahead, read that.
The book of Romans, chapter 8, verse 16.
Bring it out!
The Spirit itself beareth witness.
Stop
with,
right there. All I need right there, because we know that breakdown is the Spirit, meaning the Bible. Finish reading.
Beareth witness with our spirit that we are the children of God.
Guess what? Their spirit beareth witness with these prophecies. History bears spirit with Esau. Okay, that they are not the spirit. We just read that when we broke down Duke. They had to call themselves Duke because they know they're not a prince.
Right. I was gonna say this because the Spirit is this Bible. It bears witness for them that they're the Dukes.
That they're the Dukes, and that they're not the children of God.
That they're the Dukes. That they're the Dukes. Go back to Habakkuk 2 and 5. Read it again.
The book of Habakkuk, chapter 2 and verse 5. Yea, also because he transgresseth by wine.
Right, his lies, like Cap was saying. Come on.
He is a proud man, neither keepeth at home.
Right. They had in his heart, in his mind, for future opportunities to expand. Come on.
Who enlargeth his desire as hell.
His desire was to have more land, and he enlargeth it as hell because at any cost. He's going to kill whoever, no regard to the old or the young, right? He's going to put kids in cages just to maintain his authority and power, right? Come on.
And is as death.
And is as death. That you know him as the pale face is death. That's what our brothers and sisters would say. The pale face brings death.
So why do they continue to do that? Because of what it says up in it. They cannot stay at home.
They can't.
It's in their
Goes back to what you say. Exactly.
Right, because Europe is theirs.
Yes.
But they couldn't stay there. They had to come to this part of the land, a land where never mankind dwelt, because they knew we were here.
They wanted more. They wanted more. And they had just taken all of the United States, and they wanted more. Come on.
And cannot be satisfied.
You just said it.
Insatiable. They cannot be
satisfied. They wanted more.
They wanted more. Come on.
But gathereth unto him all nations.
Right. So under the guise of being the protector of the Western Hemisphere, hey, Mexico, we got your back. Juarez, here's some guns. Here's some money so you can fight the French off. And really it was, okay, you're going to do the heavy lifting.
Yep.
So that we can come in and act as a benefactor and actually have influence and control in your country.
Chesty Puller wrote that. War's a racket.
Yep. War's a racket. That's right. War's a racket. We went over that on this show as well. Come on.
And heapeth unto him all people.
Go ahead.
Shall not all these take up a parable against him?
All right, that's it. That's all I wanted on that. So let's go back here, right? So now it says Monroe's message to Congress, because this is going to get a little more juicy, right? We're going to...
Well, we are bringing a parable against him, so that is right.
Right. We're gonna continue to bring it out. Bring it out. We do on the Power Hour Plus. We're gonna continue to bring it out. So Power Hour Plus, he's suffering succotash. During the president's customary message to Congress on December 2nd, 1823, Monroe expressed the basic tenets of what would later become known as the Monroe Doctrine. Letting you know, again, my thing, we think of doctrine and we only think of religion, right? And it's usually synonymous with that, but it's not just that, right? So he says here, if something has tenets, right, it's letting you know that they're forming a doctrine behind it, right? Like our tenets are that, we're the children of God. God's not for anybody else. Christ is coming to redeem us from our enemies. We must keep the commandments.
We're the prince.
We're the princes. Excuse me. So those are some of our tenets. So he's saying that this Monroe Doctrine has some basic tenets, and he's laying them out. So he says, according to Monroe's message, drafted largely by Adams, the old world and the new world were fundamentally different and should be two different spheres of influence. This is the wine. The United States, for its part, would not interfere in the political affairs of Europe or with existing European colonies in the Western Hemisphere. This is why Spain was able to stay in Puerto Rico for a while, the Philippines, so on and so forth. The American continents, by the free and independent condition which they have assumed and maintained, by the blood, by the hell, by the enlarging their desire have taken. That's really what he's saying there when you read in between the lines. He says the American continents, by the free and independent condition which they have assumed and maintained, are henceforth not to be considered as subjects for colonization by any European powers. He threw down the gauntlet. He said, this is mine. Not yours, this is mine. Monroe continued, any attempt by a European power to exert its influence in the Western Hemisphere would from then on be seen by the United States as a threat to its security. These are the words that they use. There's a threat to our security. Mm-hmm. In declaring separate spheres of influence and a policy of non-intervention in the foreign affairs of Europe, The Monroe Doctrine drew on past statements of American diplomatic ideals, including George Washington's farewell address in 1796 and James Madison's declaration of war with Britain in 1812. The Monroe Doctrine in practice, U.S. foreign policy. At the time Monroe delivered his message to Congress, the United States was still a young, relatively minor player on the world stage, but God knew what he was doing there. This goes back to what you were saying earlier, Cap. It clearly did not have the military or naval power to back up its assertion of unilateral control over the Western Hemisphere. But that's his pomp. That's his thing. He's a proud man. He couldn't back it up. But he was making the threat anyway. Because why? In his bones, in his spirit, he knew that this spirit was going to bear witness that he was going to be the beginning of this last empire in the earth. So it says it clearly did not have the military or naval power to back up its assertion of unilateral control over the Western Hemisphere. And Monroe's bold policy statement was largely ignored outside U.S. borders. So basically, they were still intervening in the region, right, but just not in the U.S. mainland. In 1833, the United States did not invoke the Monroe Doctrine to oppose British occupation of the Falkland Islands. It also declined to act when Britain and France imposed a naval blockade against Argentina in 1845. But as the nation's economic and military strength grew, it began backing up Monroe's words with actions. As the Civil War drew to a close, the U.S. government supplied military and diplomatic support to Benito Juarez in Mexico, enabling his forces to overthrow the regime of Emperor Maximilian, who had been placed on the throne by the French government. That's the Duke. The Roosevelt Corollary. From 1870 onward, as the United States emerged as a major world power, the Monroe Doctrine would be used to justify a long series of U.S. interventions in Latin America. This is how we start to transition, how something as simple as Cinco de Mayo has so much more significance to our people. This is why I say I know young in the truth and zealous, you say to hell with some of these holidays. There's something here for us to learn in all of this stuff. So it says they justified, this was the beginning of them justifying their long series of interventions in Latin America. This was especially true after 1904, when President Theodore Roosevelt claimed the U.S. government's right to intervene to stop European creditors who were threatening armed intervention in order to collect debts in Latin American countries. They wanted to send in guys to break the kneecaps to get the money, and the U.S. said, nah,
wait, this was Teddy Roosevelt, right? The same guy that the statue was in front of the Museum of Natural History with Gad and Judah walking on their feet.
That guy, the revered.
That guy. Yes. I know a guy.
Right. Remember when we went over the mystery of the founding fathers? He's one of those guys.
Everyone's favorite Teddy.
Yes.
That's the one.
Teddy Bear.
Yeah, everybody's favorite Teddy. But his claim went further than that. Chronic wrongdoing may, in America, as elsewhere, ultimately require intervention by some civilized nation. This is code talk.
Yep.
This is dog whistle stuff that he was bringing out. He said chronic wrongdoing. This is when they say, oh, your people are suffering.
Yep.
No, we're not. We have our own resources. We're doing well.
Right.
We just bought houses for everybody in the country. Right? When Fidel took over Cuba, that's what he did.
Yep.
So he says, no, chronic wrongdoing may in America, as elsewhere, ultimately require intervention by some civilized nation. So this is their proudness. You are less civilized than we are, which gives us the right to come in and police your sovereign land.
Right, you're not the royal blood.
You're not the royal blood. We're dukes. Roosevelt announced in his annual message to Congress that year, in the Western Hemisphere, the adherents of the United States to the Monroe Doctrine may force the United States, however reluctantly, bullshit, it's not reluctantly, in flagrant cases of such wrongdoing or impotence, to the exercise of an international police power. He said, because you are less civilized, if we see something that we deem uncivilized, we're going to be the international police in this part of the world.
That's what they're doing now.
I was going to say the exact same thing. If this is what they think on a global thing of themselves, how do you think they feel about black and Hispanics just in like a city level?
It's all the same.
That's why they can shoot us so easily.
Just like you have macroeconomics and microeconomics, you have macro policy, and it influences all the policy down the chain.
That's exactly how it happens. You're right.
This is what motivates their thoughts. This is what motivates how they have to act and do certain things. So known as the Roosevelt Corollary, or the big stick policy, that's the one that's more popular that you remember from high school, right? Yeah. What does he say? Walk quietly but carry a big stick, right? Roosevelt's expansive interpretation was soon used to justify military interventions in Central America and the Caribbean, including the Dominican Republic, Nicaragua, Haiti, and Cuba. So Haiti was in the mix there too. And we're going to have to circle back on it for the main show now that we got the plus. But we went over the School of the Americas, I think, within the first year or two of the show.
Yeah, it's time to go back to that.
We got to go back to that, bring that stuff out.
We didn't have, certain people, a different audience.
Yes, yeah. And understanding is more profound now. All praise to the Most High. So the Monroe Doctrine from the Cold War into the 21st century. Some later policymakers tried to soften this aggressive interpretation of the Monroe Doctrine, including President Franklin D. Roosevelt, who introduced a good neighbor policy to replace the big stick. But though treaties signed during and after World War II reflected a policy of greater cooperation between North and South American countries, including the Organization of American States, the United States continued to use the Monroe Doctrine to justify its interference in the affairs of its southern neighbors. So you see how it shifted from keeping Europe out, and now they showed you this laid the foundation for everything, all the way down to how they police us to this day.
Hey, our people are so blind that they don't even realize that it's called Central America, South America.
Yep. Yeah.
They
And
put
North
their
America,
label.
even Canada.
Yeah.
Right. They put their label. They claimed it.
Yes, they did.
And yet we say, oh, I'm from South America. And then you say it proudly. So that's Sudamerica.
Yeah.
You.
Sudamerica.
You.
Presente.
Ruben Blaze, man.
You're
Ruben
right,
Blaze.
right.
Yeah.
You're right. And you don't even realize it.
You're even Sudamerica. So you're admitting that an oppressor owns your land, which goes to show you that it even goes that deep.
Yep.
Hey, what do you think the Panama Canal was all about?
Right. They needed to control and have an interest in what would be a major shipping lane. There's no way. There's no way. And and again, that's stuff that we can do a whole show on the Panama Canal.
Please.
So it says, during the Cold War era, President John F. Kennedy invoked the Monroe Doctrine during the 1962 Cuban Missile Crisis, when he ordered a naval and air quarantine of Cuba after the Soviet Union began building missile launching sites there. And it was really motivated because Cuba was saying, okay, you won't help us. We're going to become a world power by using the resources of here for their independence. They didn't like it. In the 1980s, President Ronald Reagan similarly used the 1823 policy principle to justify U.S. intervention in El Salvador and Nicaragua, while his successor, George H.W. Bush, similarly sanctioned the U.S. invasion of Panama to oust Manuel Noriega.
Yeah, because they knew that the Panama Canal, the treaty was about to be up, right? And but according to the treaty, Panamanians, so-called Panamanians, were going to get their canal back.
Right.
And they were like, no.
Nope.
It don't work like that.
Hey, and you see how these things go on in these shows, these dramas about like the White House and stuff like that. And there's truth to that. They do research on that to make it authentic, riveting television. And you'll see how the president will come in and say, what options do I have? Because they name presidents from different generations here to show you how this Monroe Doctrine, how they're no different. It don't matter that it's 100 years later, 150 years later, 300 years later. It's still the driving doctrine, the driving principle.
It just said until the 21st century, so that means we're living it now.
So they'll be in the room and they'll say, what options do we have, so that it looks like this and whatever. Well, Mr. President, we got to go in and we got to do this to protect our interests. But under the Monroe Doctrine, it gives us broad unilateral things to be the international police force of this era. So we can go in under this guise, and then on the back end, we'll send in this team to do this and so on and so forth. And this is how they maintain their power.
Paul said that the things are written aforetime, written for our learning. So the same way that we reference this for everything that we do relevant today, it's the same thing that they do, what they did back then. It's the exact same thing.
Listen, it's a spiritual battle and physical, right? It's a spiritual battle, physical battle. What I always say, from Genesis to Revelation, it's all about Jacob and Esau.
Yeah.
Okay?
Right, because this is about them oppressing. You don't see them talking about Canada. That's the Western Hemisphere.
No.
And I know they did some shit in Canada, but not this way.
Nah, they got that dude like a puppet, man. That Trudeau dude, bro.
Right,
yeah.
right. Looking like a new kid on the block.
Yeah. Yo, they don't even shake his hand. You saw a video, man. He went to shake somebody's hand. They dissed him. Like, he's just there. He's a puppet, man.
So we just showed you through all these different iterations the driving policy, the driving doctrine in their own words. They throw it in your face and they call it a doctrine. After we read this, I'm going to jump to some scriptures. With the end of the Cold War and the dawn of the 21st century, the United States reduced its military involvements in Latin America while continuing to assert a powerful influence in the affairs of the region. That's cold talk right there. That one line is when we go back and revisit the School of the Americas. Their military involvement's reduced, but they continue to assert a powerful influence. How? with the School of the Americas and training the regimes that were there that they wanted to support. All right. And it's going to give you an example of one. At the same time, socialist leaders in Latin America, such as Hugo Chavez and Nicolas Maduro of Venezuela, have earned support by resisting what they view as U.S. imperialism. Letting you know, this is why they were trying to support the other guy recently, right? Against Maduro. Okay, they were trying, forgot his name, but now they're not supporting him because it didn't work. The coup didn't work. So he have earned support by resisting what they view as U.S. imperialism. And it is. We read the Monroe Doctrine. It is U.S. imperialism, reflecting the complicated legacy of the Monroe Doctrine and its defining influence on U.S. foreign policy in the Western Hemisphere.
Hey, producer, what's his name? You mentioned it because I brought it out a couple weeks ago. The puppet president they wanted to put in I
forgot his name.
Venezuela.
What was his name, producer?
You mentioned it, man.
Producer calls.
I don't know. I forgot. Let me look him up.
Here, let me Google it. Puppet they wanted to put in
I just want to. No, it's important that you bring the name out because you really want to see.
Yeah.
So while you do that, I want to read this real quick on Wikipedia, and then I'm going to jump to some of the scriptures I wanted to bring out. So it says the Monroe Doctrine was issued on December 2nd, 1823. We on Wiki now. We on Wiki. No, not Battle of Puebla. We're not going to use that.
Bolsolano? What the
Monroe
hell, man?
Doctrine. Monroe Doctrine. There we go. The Monroe Doctrine was issued on December 2nd, 1823, at a time when nearly all Latin American colonies of Spain had achieved or were at the point of gaining independence from the Spanish empires. So when they saw the opportunity of the liberation of these places from the conquistadors, this is when they issued this doctrine. It stated that further efforts by various European states, to take control of any independent state in the Americas would be viewed as the manifestation of an unfriendly disposition toward the United States.
No, Maduro's the one that's there now, but there was one that America was trying to put.
Maduro was the one that's there now.
Hugo Chavez?
No, it wasn't Hugo Chavez.
Come on, bro.
It's a guy. The world was acknowledging him as the official president.
Yeah, that's it.
That's it.
Uado
puppet.
Uado.
Juan Uado or something like that.
Spell it.
You got it. You just can't pronounce it. Is that what it is?
Yeah, that's
He needs some milk.
That's exactly what it is. Juaido.
Guido. Something like that.
All right.
Juan Guido.
Anyway, let me get some scriptures.
Udado. No, Udado. Something like that, man.
Udado. Yeah. No, it wasn't Maduro.
Guaido.
Guaido. Let's get this real quick. Watch this.
Guadido.
First Timothy 4:1.
Guadido.
The book of 1 Timothy, chapter 4 and verse 1.
Bring it out.
You were there already?
Yeah, that's the first scripture I picked.
Yeah, it's Guadido. Juan Guadido.
How the hell you got there before me?
Because you started out with Monroe.
Because he has a damn Encyclopedia Britannica over there for a Bible. That's how he got it before you. But that thing, he could even do a Google search on that thing.
I've been holding it since
that
the
thing, that thing has a
Google
search engine in it, bro.
1 Timothy 4:1.
It's a computer, man.
1 Timothy 4:1.
Book of 1 Timothy, chapter 4 and verse 1. Now the Spirit speaketh expressly that in the latter times some shall depart from the faith, giving heed to seducing spirits and doctrines of devils.
Remember, we think of the faith and we're thinking just religion, right? But departing from the faith as an Israelite means what? You're buying in to Esau, to this white man's doctrines as a whole. Not just his Christianity, but his politics and everything else. We were talking about earlier how, like, you got other people saying Mexican go home or whatever of our own people with this stuff, not realizing what's going on here, right? So it says they depart from the faith. Departing from our faith is also departing from the heritage, right? It says giving heed to seducing spirits. The seducing spirits is the power that America is. And then he says, come on, and what?
Speaking lies.
No, seducing spirits and
doctrines of devils.
And doctrines of devils. Yes, primarily we talk about this to talk about religion. Primarily this is a big emphasis on Catholicism, which is the father of Christianity, all right? But doctrines of devils, the Monroe Doctrine, is that not a devilish doctrine to say that we're going to be the international police so that we can expand in this region?
And they call it a doctrine.
Yeah, and they call it a doctrine in your face.
Wow.
That's and they say, we read in Habakkuk, he enlargeth his desire as hell. Hell, devil, synonymous. So the doctrine of devils is the doctrine of this white man, of the dukes of Esau.
Hey, that doctrine went back to Genesis when he said she'll have power just like Adam.
Yes.
That was a doctrine.
Yes.
The wicked.
Come on, second verse.
Speaking lies in hypocrisy.
This was when they said that the civilized thing. Well, if there's atrocities and we're forced to come in, a civilized nation is responsible to do this, giving themselves this authority. The whole way they worded the Monroe Doctrine. Hey, we got to protect our interests over here. We don't want you colonizing. But then remember, they dropped off Britain as an ally because they said, wait. Britain might try to colonize too. We want to keep our expansion in mind in the future.
Yo, if that's not a mafia, I don't know what is. Because that's how the mafia roll, man.
Right.
They roll just like that, man. Nah. We got to whack them.
Right.
We got to whack him, man.
That's
Yo.
James Monroe was the head of the Gambino crime family.
But it just goes to show you that's in their spirit, man.
Yes.
We got, Gotti whacked Castellano, right? Because they were like, nah, this guy's getting too big.
Yep. So notice get Matthew 7:15. All right. Just got a few scriptures. Just a
Book
few.
of Matthew, chapter 7, verse 15. Beware of false prophets.
Again, we look at this and we think, the T.D. Jakes, we think all this stuff, right? I want you to look at this from a perspective. Remember, First Maccabees says the advent of democracy is, they call it, everybody consented to his religion. It's a religion. So you cannot be fooled by these politics. Politics is them allowing them to frame their mischief by law. It gives them their justification. And then what they do is Christianity shores it up for them as the spiritual side of it. Right? So it says, beware of false prophets, right? Not just your Christian pastors and all this other stuff, dealing with these politicians also. Let me get the definition of prophets. I'm going to show you something, all right? We got to expand our horizons in our understanding to see how all-encompassing this is. I gave it to you in Webster. And so, right, the first one says one who utters divinely inspired revelations, right? And then it says such as somebody prophetic, book of the Bible, right? Someone, the second one says spiritual and moral insight, right? But I want number 4. And it says an effective or leading spokesman for a cause, doctrine, or group. Monroe was the one that was the prophet of the Monroe Doctrine.
Yeah.
Your favorite Teddy, America's favorite Teddy, was the prophet of that doctrine.
Hey, and make no mistake about it. These vocabulary words, the definitions, they're with Esau in mind. They ain't with us.
Right.
Yeah. So they just, this is all the psychology right here, man. When you read that, what's the first one? Go to the first one real quick. Let's not be This is Merriam-Webster. They don't say Israelite Webster or Hispanic Webster dictionary, right? Merriam-Webster. What's that first one say? What's that say?
The Mayo version.
One who utters divinely inspired revelation.
And what do you think right away? You think of Caucasian Christ, right? And you think of your Caucasian pastors. When you read this, dude, that's the indoctrination, man.
Go to number 4 again real quick. Watch. It says an effective or leading spokesman for a cause, doctrine, or group.
There you go.
The definition of doctrine is a principle or position or the body of principles in a branch of knowledge or a system of belief.
The system of belief is the Constitution, is the United States government,
the
and it's
Monroe
all
Doctrine.
its hierarchy.
Hey, that got nothing to do with us.
Doctrine.
Those definitions got nothing to do with us. They don't have a Negro or Hispanic in that definition.
That Monroe Doctrine is a heavy.
I didn't even realize that thing was still around today,
yes,
man.
Yes, they just call it that. That's the foundation of their foreign policy. Now it's called U.S. foreign policy.
Yeah, right.
Wow.
But that's what. So when you hear them say U.S. foreign policy,
what that is,
that's
bro.
what the Monroe.
Yeah, you know, man. Wow.
Yep. So they just
Damn,
again,
bro.
that's the wine. That's the wine. That's the wine.
That's U.S.
That's the wine. Read Matthew 7:15.
Wow.
The book of Matthew, chapter 7, verse 15. Beware of false prophets, which come to you in sheep's clothing.
The sheep's clothing is that they said, oh, we're going to help you out to get these archdukes out of there. We're going to help you out, Puerto Rico, because Spain left you so jacked up. Yep. We're going to help you out, Mexico and Central America and all these different places from these despotic leaders that you have in sheep's clothing. But what?
But inwardly, they are ravening wolves.
To raven, to be ravenous, means you're hungry, which means your desire is insatiable, just like we read in Habakkuk 2, right? They cannot be satisfied. They are ravenous. They are ravenous for power. They are ravenous for land. They are ravenous for authority. Remember how Esau went to his father and begged for a birthright? Yeah. He said, do you not have one blessing for me, Father?
Hey, you used the right word. Remember how Esau went to Jacob hungry.
Yep.
and said, give me some of that red potted. I don't care if it's not done.
Yep.
If it's raw.
Yep. And he lied to him. He gave up his birthright, but he didn't really.
Let me tell you what he did. He did one of these. He goes, look, first of all, you're my little brother.
Yep.
Right? I'm going to fool you right now because, that's just how I roll, right? Because I'm evil like that.
Yep.
But I ain't losing my birthright. That's what he thought. That's the same spirit they got today.
Yep. That's exactly it. Read the whole verse.
The book of Matthew, chapter 7, verse 15. Beware of false prophets, which come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly they are ravening wolves.
This is talking about what we just went over all day today. And look at how it started with just Cinco de Mayo.
Mm-hmm.
And when you dig deep into that, what you really uncover.
You know what that boils down to? Every holiday that Esau has forced us to follow, it falls under all of this.
Yes.
It's the
That's
inward.
why I mentioned the Colossians 2 and 8.
The rudiments.
It's the rudiments.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, sheep's clothing is walking softly.
It's designed. That's crafty counsel. These holidays that Esau has made mandatory, made a religion, just like Antiochus did.
Right.
Because remember what the root word of religion is, religio, right? Which means to keep in control of bondage. They've controlled us prior to us starting on a road to repentance to believe that those holidays were ours. Just like, again, going back to the vocabulary words, man. You think of that, trust me, our people, not us right here, not us online that are repenting, but you think of a Caucasian man when you read that stuff. Our people don't come to your mind. It don't. Subconsciously, whether you want to believe it or not, our people do not come in your mind when you read of success and stuff like that. It's not until you read this Bible and you make the correlation that that's us that you start realizing, you know what, we are people, man.
Yep. Hey, and that's why this is why we do this. We gotta enlighten. We gotta show and show the craftiness of Esau there. So we read that there. Now go to Daniel 7, and let me start at 7. Start at 7, because I'm gonna show you this is just one of what we just went over today with Cinco de Mayo, with the Monroe Doctrine, with is now, which was the genesis of the U.S. foreign policy that they have. This is part of some of the stuff that falls under this prophecy here. All right, Daniel 7 and 7.
The book of Daniel, chapter 7, verse 7. After this, I saw in the night visions, and behold, a fourth beast,
which is Rome. Come on,
dreadful and terrible, and strong exceedingly. And it had great iron teeth. It devoured and brake in pieces, and stamped in the residue with the feet of it.
Come on.
And it was diverse from all the beasts that were before it.
Why? Because it was different. It was diverse. Because they tell you to this day, the Roman Empire, Rome wasn't built in a day, right? The only other empire you hear them talk so much about in such a great way is the United States. So Rome stands out as the model of how to conquer the earth. Essentially, right?
Hey, even that's crafty, right? Because we know that the Greeks were the first ones to unite Esau, right?
Yep.
And from there came the Romans, right? Hence the Greco-Roman Empire.
Yep.
But they can't say that.
Right.
They have to start from Rome, the same reason why they had to start from the New Testament from Matthew.
Yes.
For the same reasons. They left out why would they leave out the Greek captivity, the most prominent the most prominent victory of them stepping over us and having control? Why would they do that?
Yeah, because the Apocrypha's heavy when you start off there with Maccabees and it starts telling you about all that. It tells you the advent of the religion by Antiochus of politics.
So why would they leave that out?
Right. So it says, and it was diverse from all the beasts, but it was diverse because Rome continues today in a different manifestation, right? It's diverse because it's the one empire that's still here in a different form today, right? Because he explains the appearance and how it was diverse. Come on.
And it had 10 horns.
And it had 10 horns. Now, come on.
I considered the horns, and behold.
Meaning he studied the horns, and behold, come on.
There came up among them another little horn.
Dealing with America, all right? It came up among them, among those 10 horns, another little horn, right? This is what the United States is. So you're seeing what we went over in history today, some of how this prophecy came to be in a more detailed manner, right? So he said, and I considered there came up among them another little horn. I'm going to prove it when we finish this verse in my statement. Come on.
Before whom there were 3 of the first horns plucked up by the roots.
3 first horns are Spain, France, and Britain. What did we read about at the outset of what we were talking about with Cinco de Mayo? With the U.S. foreign policy? Who were they trying to kick out? Spain, France, and Britain. When they came out with the Monroe Doctrine, when they were done with the Civil War and instituted all their policies and enacted it, it was to keep Spain, France, and Britain out. They plucked them out and took their place.
Listen to what it says, Cap. It says were 3 of the first horns, because from those 3 was where America came next.
Exactly. Meaning he plucked them out and took the place. Right? Come on.
And behold, in this horn were eyes like the eyes of man.
Letting you know that it's talking about a man, not some monster, not some demon, right? The eyes is that's how he transgresses with wine. Eyes symbolize compassion, make you feel like you can relate. So he gives you his lies. Oh, we're going to do this. We're going to help you here. We're going to do that. Come on.
And a mouth speaking great things.
That's the flood of lies we just read. The Monroe Doctrine, the big stick policy.
We love you, God.
Right. And a mouth speaking great things. It sounded good. It sounded great. And you know what else was the great things? The way he said, hey, we're going to take it as a threat if you come over here.
That's right.
We're going to make sure that means that you're hostile towards the United States. You can't do this. You can't do that. You know what else is great things? Oh, well, it behooves us if a civilized nation sees atrocities going on, that we need to be the international police of the world.
Hey, this is heavy. Let me tell you why. Because when you read from 4 on down, it's describing figuratively, right? Metaphorically, illustratively, each nation. This is talking about an actual. It's using the horn as to describe America, like we just said. But in there, it tells you it had eyes and it spoke. You got to look at it for what it's worth. This is a heavy book.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Y'all know what I'm trying to say, man.
Yeah, of course.
It's you gotta. There's a lot of meat in this, man. You know, and unless you have the spirit, all praise to the Most High God, put the spirit on our leadership to break this down. Because you read this, you start thinking crazy things, right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's weird, right? Right back in the world, man. You know,
Revelations.
The kingdom, superstitions.
We used to read Revelations and think all types of craziness.
Yeah. I saw Damon Omen too, and it has on the head and all this crap. The
Chronicles of Narnia.
Yeah.
Damn, bro. Hey, someone jumped in there to talk about that. It's the race card and it's some biblical Hebrew Israelites. Listen, Rook, if our gospel is hid to them that are lost. Because if you're really listening to this whole show, all right, with everything that's been brought out, you tell me that your Christian pastors bring out any type of understanding like this.
That algorithm's all messed up.
Right. You all jacked up. Let's jump to verse 25, all right? 24, actually.
The book of Daniel, chapter 7.
2 more scriptures, verse 24, 25, and then I want Ephesians 4:14.
Daniel 7, verse 24. And the 10 horns out of this kingdom are 10 kings that shall arise.
Out of Rome, this is why it was diverse from the rest. This is why Rome still continues. 10 kingdoms would still arise. Bishop just went over this on Saturday. Come on.
And another shall rise after them.
The United States of America. This is what we just read. In Daniel 7, 7 and 8, he's still talking in similitude. Here, he's breaking it down for you. Come on.
And he shall be diverse from the first, and he shall subdue 3 kings.
The king of Spain, the king of France, the king of Britain. He subdued the 3 kings.
That's it. Revolutionary War.
Yes.
Britain, France was with this situation, and Spain when he beat them in Puerto Rico.
The Spanish-American War.
I have a note here. It says USA, France, Spain, Britain.
Yep.
I mean, I wrote it myself, but yes, that's exactly what it means.
It's confirmed.
Right. No, like Cap just said, that's the breakdown that we got that we would have never seen from our leadership. You're going to sit here and talk about that. This ain't an Israelite book?
Hey, the hell is this? And again, Revolutionary War, Spanish-American War, and whatever they call this one that happened here.
Right.
It happened.
Right. So, it says, read on. So he subdued the 3 kings, verse 25.
And he shall speak great words against the Most High.
Christianity, like that. I sit as God, right? Isaiah 14. All right, come on.
And shall wear out the saints of the Most High.
He wore out everybody that was over. He wore out Gad and Reuben by taking over what's known as the continental United States. He wore out Issachar. He wore out Zebulun. He wore out Ephraim in slavery, and then after slavery, which is still slavery, but after the physical slavery, he wore us out with these policies, with these doctrines, all right, with these false prophecies and these false, promises that he would bring out. Come on.
And think to change times
so
and laws.
I know we read this and we always focus on times. It says to change times and laws. changing the laws of the Bible and changing the laws of how things are played. That they set themselves up as the international. How the hell can a country come in and go someplace that's supposedly sovereign and have the influence that the United States has? You can tell me that's not the ruling power?
It's insane, bro.
The hell is this?
No, and not just do it, but in most cases do it, and you're welcoming them in.
Right. Exactly.
You're inviting them in. Yeah, we welcome that stuff. Come on.
And they shall be given into his hand.
The Israelites will be given into his hand. Come on.
Until a
90
time
seconds.
and times and the dividing of time.
Right. This is just dealing with a dispensation of time until the prophecies get fulfilled in the Bible. Let's get Ephesians 4:14.
The book of Ephesians, chapter 4, verse 14.
Bring it out!
That we henceforth be no more children.
Right. So listen, we got to get ourselves together, right? Like we were talking about all this stuff, all this heaviness that came out that we wouldn't even think about. But I remember the Mormon doctrine from freaking junior high school, and then in college.
I don't remember it like this.
No. Here's the thing. As I was reading it, I'm like, oh, snap. I read all this. This is exactly what they said. But when my mind was the mind of America, I didn't see
you
it
were
for
like,
what
yeah,
it was.
go Rocco.
Yeah.
Right.
We did it.
America, baby.
America,
It,
baby.
it created a strong sense of nationalism in me, right? Because I'm an American citizen, and we the big boys on the block,
Yeah,
right?
like, oh, yeah.
So it
Jello.
says, hey, we must henceforth, be no more children, right? Because children, they believe any little thing, right? Come on.
Tossed to and fro.
We cannot let these false prophets and these false doctrines, and it's more than just a religion. I know those of us who get hip to this, religion's the first thing you realize and cast off from you. Organized religions is what I'm talking about, right? But you have to look at the other crafty things that are there. Come on.
And carried about with every wind of doctrine.
You can't. Every wind of doctrine, every policy that's out there. Everybody's all happy for Biden, but the kids are still in cages.
Hey, you know what's carried away with every wind of doctrine, man? That we use in the race card.
That's right. That's another wind of doctrine.
That's why you're not
That's
here.
why I say.
That's why you're not here no more.
Yeah, he trying to cut his teeth and make a name for himself off our back. Get out of here, because there ain't no way that he's gonna be able to get the views and the show.
Your
and the
algorithm had a
subscribers that we got.
virus.
Right. Yeah. Good. Let's go.
By the sleight of men.
By the sleight of men. All right. Come on.
And cunning craftiness. Whereby they lie in wait to deceive.
Right. So it says every wind of doctrine and by their sleight. Every wind of doctrine, not just spiritual things, not just other religions, all right? Every wind of doctrine. That's politics, that's science, falsely so-called, right? Oppositions of science, okay? All those things fall under that stuff. And we must continue to wear something as simple as Cinco de Mayo, right? And I said, oh, there's an opportunity here. I know we look at it from an Israelite perspective and say, oh, that has nothing to do with us. It does have something to do with us, not to celebrate it, but to learn something from it so that we're not tossed to and fro like children, carried about with false prophets and doctrines of devils, all right?
What has that to do with me or Tyree inside down?
That's right. That's right.
Bring it out!
Any closing comments?
Hey, man, fire.
All praises to the Most High. All praises to the Most High.
So y'all never going to drink a margarita the same again.
Well, at least not on Cinco de Mayo.
Yeah, right.
I like
but even when they drink it up, they're going to be like, damn, man, that class was heavy, man.
I likes me a margarita every now and then.
Oh, I say I ain't going to drink it. I'm just saying, you know.
You're not going to drink it the same way.
Nah, you're going to look at it differently, man.
Even the tacos, right?
Even the little sombrero they put on it, you're going to be like, damn.
I'm gonna get my quesadilla tacos, and it's going to be... I'm going to be like, damn, Cinco de Mayo.
hey, speaking of birria tacos, in Vegas, they said, hey, there's this great place on the street. It's fire, bro. I was like, what is it? He said, it's a birria. Birria?
Bruh.
How's birria?
That was your one, too, that said it, right?
It was all of them that said it, bro. I was like, hashtag Judah, bro.
Was it the same place we
Birria.
went? You were with us that one time we went. Was it that same place we waited online that long?
I don't know. We didn't go there.
I don't remember them being that great in the place that we stayed and waited
They're
online.
all right. I was there. They were all right.
Right? Yeah, you were there, right? It wasn't that great, right?
Listen, a taco's a taco, man.
The long line wasn't the...
Here we go.
wasn't-
That's it, bro.
Here we go.
It's a tortilla with meat
right.
and some other
Like,
stuff.
share, subscribe.
Y'all getting all crazy
All
over a damn
tacos are not created equal.
This is true.
All right?
This is true.
I don't know,
The
man.
Most High has
I
shown
don't
favor
know.
onto some tacos.
Jury's
all right?
still out on that for
Some
me.
tacos are near and dear to the Most High.
That's right.
I don't know, man.
Oh, snap. Hey, all tacos matter.
That's right.
Hey, good having you here, Shlomo. You threw some insight in there. I
Yeah, thanks for bringing your DOS computer.
Yeah, thanks for bringing your.
No, what was the Apple's? What was this first one? He called it after his daughter.
Lisa.
Lisa, thank you for bringing Lisa.
So the original tablet.
Lisa with the
Right,
DOS and
right.
black screen with green cursor.
Hey, remember to catch us on the Power Hour on Saturdays, 11 a.m. Arizona time. All right, that's the Hour Show. So make sure you tune in for that. That's exclusively on Facebook. All right, out on our Facebook page at the Lost 144K. You see it up there. So make sure you jump on Facebook as well. Continue to like, share, subscribe, support across all platforms. And hey, we've said this before. We won't always have a Northern Kingdom emphasis, but we do try to be the voice for the Northern Kingdom in some of these things, because we know that especially when it comes to Northern Kingdom, like the prophecy in Hosea says, strangers have devoured our strength. And we got to make sure we give them that strength back through the proper understanding in the scriptures. All right?
Hey, one last thing, Cap. I want to thank everybody, the fans that have been watching. We watch the feed, that you've been watching religiously. And for the support. I mean, the comments that you put are very edifying. They're humbling. Yeah. Mm-hmm. We're humbled by the comments that you put about the topics that come out, etc. Right. So don't think because we don't respond, that we're not acknowledged. We acknowledge. I look at all of them. I know everyone else here does as well. So all praises. Keep the support. Share, like, comment helps the engagement and helps us move up in the algorithms.
That's right. And
we really appreciate y'all. We couldn't have a show, without your support, man. So keep it up.
Yeah, good points. Yeah, make sure that you. We didn't get to do the call in this week, just because we was flowing real good. But also, gear yourself up, man. We like the interaction. We try to design the show that way. I love to interact with the brothers in here. That's I don't come with a lot of notes and stuff like that. It's very conversation driven. So continue to do those comments like Captain Aparm said. And also be mindful of the number, man. So sometimes if you want to call in, you got something you want to add to the show and say something, by all means do that. I think we probably one of the few shows where you could probably actually call in and interact with us on the air. And I say that to say it helps drive the show. It's designed for us to be conversational.
Right.
So.
And don't keep this just for, share it, man, because again, a lot of our people need to hear this, man. You know what I'm saying? See, y'all are edified, but we need to bring this out, man. It's high time now to really the Northern Kingdom to step it up, man.
Yeah, don't keep it for yourself. You know? Don't keep it for
Everyone
yourself.
shall hear it, then the end shall be, right?
That's it.
So everyone's got to hear this gospel go out to our people. Right. So everyone's got a responsibility in sharing this great news to our people.
See, I knew that was a computer. You had a damn Wi-Fi thing there, man. Running that. Wow.
Do you put all that in a book bag?
Yeah.
No, he puts that in a sack with a cart with wheels.
In a sea bag.
In a sea bag, you're right. He needs that for that.
That thing look like an MRE, bro. That's how big that thing is, bro. You got the cheese with the cracker in there, bro.
Anyway, shalom, Israel. Most High Christ bless y'all. Saturday, 11 a.m. Arizona time. Next week, Lord's will, will be on at 7 p.m. Arizona time. With
praises.
that, we say shalom.
Shalom.
Lego.
Israel is back.
We back.
Israel is back. We got the nations running scared because Israel is back. All eyes on us because we keeping them laws. When the Lord return, Babylon will fall. Precept solid. We got them on lock. God's chosen people with Christ as our rock. Israel is back.
We back.
Israel is back.
We back.
You heathen, get ready for